everybody, and welcome back to Glan-Y-Gors, here for your coverage provided by Alpha Live of round 3 of the 2022 Club 100 Senior Sprints Championship. We are now going to look ahead to our lightweight classes racing in this afternoon's running. We've done the heavyweights, fantastic action that we had here this morning. If you haven't seen it, you can go and watch that back on catch-up on the Alpha Live YouTube channel at your leisure. But right now we're looking ahead to the lightweights. My name's Howard Mitchell. I'm alongside Andrew Mather here in the comms position. We're from Double Dash Motorsport Media, and once again we are here to enjoy the action alongside you all and talk you through it. And we are going to get straight into the first of our 9 heats of the lightweight Sprints Championship this afternoon, which will then go into the 3 all-important trophy finals. So without further ado, let's take a look at your grid for this first heat race. Bear in mind, not all drivers taking part in this heat. We'll get onto that the format discussion in a little while. But just to go through the grid then, Ben Lambeth will be on pole, Joe Bailey alongside. Ed Bars and Callum Martin will be on row 2. Bryn Olban and Dom Cliff are on row 3. Row 4 is going to be Jeremy Deeks and Daz Teal. Charlie Summers and Keith Seagal round out your top 10. Rihanna Percox and Stephen Westwood are on row 6, with row 7 being occupied by Steph Theodoru and Andrew Rabbage. Rob Langthorpe and James Scanlon are row 8, with Dan Grocott and Tommy Lee on row 9. Row 10 is going to be Andy Berry and Harris Ahmed, and then it's Matthew Cliff and Nicholas Lacasas to round out the 22 karts that are going to start this one. First heat for the lightweight running here today. A little bit overcast over the circuit at this precise moment, but I've got to say, as this shot of the paddock shows you, we have been pretty blessed with the weather this weekend here at Glan-Y-Gors in Conway, situated just on the border between Conway and Denbighshire. Beautiful part of the world, and we've had a really fun weekend here at Club 100. There was the SP60 format and the endurance race here yesterday, and then we've got sprint action on the Sunday, and it is that which we are bringing to you live throughout today. If you were with us this morning for the heavyweights, do hope you've had a nice break, nice refreshment. I've got a little bit of egg on my face. I think I said we'd be back with you within half an hour. I forgot that there was a half-hour test to be run, as well as the lunch break for the marshalling crew. So that's why we're a bit of a longer break than I foretold. But nonetheless, it's great to have you all back with us, and we're looking forward to some fantastic racing in our lightweights. We've got the 3 subclasses, I should say, in the lightweights. Don't forget, classes 1, 2, and 3, with 3 being our novice class. Some of our less experienced drivers, but can often spring a surprise, give us something really cool to talk about. So yeah, going to be good to see how that all transpires over the course of this afternoon in this glorious sunshine in Glan-Y-Gors. 9 heats, as I say. Each driver will contest 3 heats out of the 9, so you can think of it as 3 rotations of 3 effectively, because once we get to the end of heat 3, all of the drivers will have competed in their first heat, and so we'll go into another rotation, and so on and so forth until we've done the 9 heats. There are championship points on offer in the heat races, 20 points on offer to anyone winning one of these heats, and then it's 19 points for second place, 18 for third, and so on and so forth. The point system in Club 100, nice and simple, just decrements by 1 point with each position. And it is about championship points, but the big points in the championship are on offer in the trophy finals. 130 of them on offer to whoever takes the top spot in the A final, and it all cascades down throughout the finishing positions for the A final, B final, and C final. The heats are ultimately all about setting the optimum grid position that you can in the finals. In order to keep that fair, every driver has the same random grid position. The grids are random, but done in such a way that each driver has the same average grid position across all of their heats. So if you start on pole in one of your heats, you're going to start last in another one of your heats and somewhere slap bang in the middle, such that you have the same average grid spot. And that's how that works. So average grid position is the same for everybody, and then across the heats trying to accumulate as many points as possible to determine the grids for those A, B and C finals. If you have a terrible time of it in the heats, there is still the opportunity for redemption, because there are promotion spots available from the C final into the B final and indeed from the B final into the A final. It is the top 4 finishers of the C final go onto the back of the B final grid, and the top 2 finishers from the B final go up onto the back of the A final grid. So if it does all go to tears in your heats, there is the option to do that. And indeed, we have seen drivers have some very impressive drives up through those finals in the past in order to achieve that. That's all quite a way away, though. We've got the heats to come first, but I thought I'd cover all of it because A, we've got a bit of a lull just whilst we're waiting for everyone to get the final bits and pieces together. And B, once we get going, these heats really come thick and fast. And we've got a very densely packed load of racing action for you to enjoy. Make no mistake about that. This Glan-Y-Gors circuit then, I mentioned where it's at, in the rolling hills here of North Wales. You can see Snowdonia National Park off in the distance. You can see Snowdon. It's a nice clear day today, so you can see that as you go down the back straight here. 1.1 kilometre circuit, plenty of height undulation, long straight in the first set to the Dragon Straight. It's all about the straights in the first half of the lap, and then it's a nice it's quite a technical lap on the way back down the hill through the infamous compression corner complex and Devil's Elbow as well to try and finish the lap, and then it's about carrying the speed onto the next lap. Makes for some very interesting racing. We're going to talk a lot about racing in packs, racing intelligently, being patient, reading the situation well, being in slipstreams, working together to get onto the next pack. Those are all factors that we saw at the forefront of this morning's action in the heavyweights. So that's all to come. But I think that's enough rambling for me. It's probably about time that we say hello to Mr. Andrew Mather alongside me. Hello, sir.
I don't like technology. It's been screwing me over the last 20 minutes. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the coverage for the lightweights. And, really looking forward to this. The weather is exemplary here today at Glan-Y-Gors. Quick bit of housekeeping. Where are we with this season? Well, we're at round 3, so we've completed 2 of them. Here's how things finished last time out when we were at Wilton Mill. It wasn't a streamed round, but this was your result last time out for round 2. Mike Coppin was your round winner, ahead of Daz Teal and Fraser Brunton. Nice and easy, 1, 2, 3 in C1 and overall. In 4th place, though, we did have our C2 winner. It's Dan Seeger at Wilton Mill, ahead of Dante Dillon and Garrett Berry, finishing 6th and 7th in their A finals respectively. C3, we had one C3 get through to the B final. That was George Lawler on that day, and finishing in 9th place. And then 5th and 6th in the C final were Harrison Kirkham and James Browning. So those were your podium trophy winners last time out. Championship scores look like this, still very early in the season. Fraser Brunson is your championship leader on 373, ahead of Mike Coppin by 3 points. Daz Teal, of course, finished 2021 very strongly. He's had a strong start to 2022 as well. He's there on 366. Dante Dillon is 4th on 361. Reese Pope is 5th on 355. Garrett Berry is currently... Sorry, I've missed your C2 leader, or noting that Dante Dillon was or is your C2 leader. Garrett Berry is 6th overall in points, 2nd in C2 on 349. Ed Bars at the moment in a very strange position for Ed Bars, 7th in points at the moment on 344. Hasn't had a good time in some of the heat so far, so he'll be looking to pick things up today. Dan Seeger is in 8th on 338. And before I get on to other drivers who have won a heat so far this year, let's talk about George Lawler being your C3 leader on 241 points, 40th overall in the points. 6 places ahead, actually quite a good lead, 35 points over Oliver Johnson, who's 2nd in C3. Matt Ellis, further point back in 3rd. And just to mention, all of our drivers who've had heat wins so far this year, they are listed as follows: Hussein Rashid, Christopher Powell, Andrew Ward, Michael Preston, Matthew Cockram and Samuel Essery.
So we've covered the format, we've covered the state of play coming into today. We've even mentioned how hopefully these shots are doing justice to what we're talking about. The beautiful location that we've got here at Glan-Y-Gors. You can see the shots of the national park in the background. It's really, it is a really cool place to drive as a driver. It's a bit of a driver's favourite, this circuit. So this is going to be the key bit that we're seeing them going up now, the Dragon Straight, and then there's Snowdon in the background as they swoop up here towards the Spoon complex. But let's talk a little bit about how you can follow all the action this afternoon here at Glan-Y-Gors. Obviously, there's this Alpha Live stream. If you would like to supplement that with some additional detail and a little bit of a view of what's going on here in our little comms position here, a bit behind the scenes mixed with some additional details, as that's a bit of a moment there for the 17 of Domcliffe, just testing the limits of the circuit there. But yeah, you can come across to our parallel live stream over on the Double Dash Motorsport Media YouTube channel. Do come on over. And
which now has operative sound,
which
it didn't a few minutes ago.
Indeed.
Guys.
So do go over there, and we've got a few additional graphics bits and pieces to help you follow the racing in even greater detail. So if you've got the ability to do so, you can follow the action via that. And if you want to go, if you've got another screen free or all of that, then head on over to live.alphatiming.co.uk and click on Club 100, and you will have the live timing screen as it's here in the box. live.alphatiming.co.uk, click on Club 100. All confirmed results and all grids that are already posted are available at results.alphatiming.co.uk, and click on Club 100. And you can see there the results for this morning's running, last year's running. To be honest, going back quite a few years, you can, if you want, you can really swat up on your Club 100 results history there, and as I say, see the grids as they're posted for this afternoon's racing.
As I did, because the last time we were here for a sprints round, if you weren't here this morning, was the 17th of June 2018. And a few of our drivers who are out there in this competition today were there on that day. But all ready for heat number 1 then. So Ben Lambeth will take us from pole position. Joe Bailey alongside on the front row. Away we go for 7 minutes here at GYG. Good start for both on the front row of the grid. And away we go up to Spoon for the first time. All looking fairly regiment as they go up to Spoon Curve. It's been a clean start from the lightweights here. Ben Lambeth leads there on the inside, but no, nicking through has gone Joe Bailey. So Joe Bailey has taken the lead as they go through Spoon for the first time. Are they all going to get through? That's pretty good from the lightweights. There's a bit of penalties at a jump start. It is a jump start. So yeah, we saw one of these this morning. Joe Bailey has deemed to have gained an advantage from having done a jump start. And he got it wrong by 0.04 seconds, Howard.
Yes, indeed. And we may see more of those than usual, because there is, if you can time it just right, there is a legitimate start that second place can do that really does pay dividends on their way up the hill. We saw, I felt Richard Allen was the pioneer of it in heavyweights this morning, but we saw some other drivers timing it right as well, as is that Ben Lambeth coming back at.
Yeah, Ben Lambeth running wide, and it's going to be on the outside now, and it's going to lose a number of positions to the likes of Callum Martin and Ed Bars.
No, it's Ben Lambeth to the front.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, number 30 is at the front. So a lot of white helmet, black suit combinations. But no, that is Ben Lambeth, because I think Joe Bailey went wide at Club Corner, and that's allowed the 4 drivers now in front of him through. So it is now Ben Lambeth, Callum Martin, Ed Bars and Daz Teal, your top 4. Excuse me, no, because Ed Bars has also deposed Callum Martin of second place over the course of this lap, so even more change than I mentioned. And indeed, that's Ed Bars to the front of the field now, through on Ben Lambeth. So change for the lead. Ed Bars is to the front in the early stages here at Glan-Y-Gors.
I'm going to put a theory out here to defend myself. Have we got more black suits now in Club 100 than ever before?
I think so.
Stop doing it. Buy some different colours, drivers. 5 minutes to go.
I'm saying nothing.
You're saying nothing. You're saying nothing as your ace engineer stands to the side of you. 5 minutes of this one to go. Ed Bars is back up front. Here comes Bryn Albon. He's been doing a lot of laps so far this weekend and has had some very good pace on home soil, of course. And he's just got past Dom Cliff there for 6th place. I can tell those two drivers very well because they're in non-black suits. Rihanna Percock's trying to make her way through past Dom Cliff now.
And is through.
Yep.
Good move there from Rihanna in the number 99. As behind them, there's this battle developing between Joe Bailey, Charlie Summers and Stephen Westwood as they come on to lap number 4. And head up the hill again. Ed Bars not being allowed to run away with it here. Ben Lambeth and Daz Teal keeping him very honest here at the head of this one. And lest we forget, we are streaming around, so we might see some good stuff from Daz Teal today.
Yeah, as I say, had a very, very strong finish to 2021. has had one heat win so far this season. Best result in finals has been second place.
Yes, the cameras seem to be a good omen for him. So when we stream around, he seems to have a good time of it. Coming on to a new lap, has he got a run on Ben Lambeth up the hill? If he wants to keep touch with Ed Bars, you sense, although it's good pace from Lambeth so far, but you sense that Teal wants to get through here, and he's going to go and try and find the space in Spoon. He's going to try and prise the door open. Got to be careful here to get the balance right between, being alongside at the right moment and prizing the door open, which can be viewed as a bump and pass. So it's a difficult thing to get right here. Now they move into the more technical part of the lap. It's harder to find a way through here, but as Rihanna Percox demonstrated a couple of laps ago, and as many heavyweight drivers demonstrated this morning, it is possible to do so.
And Daz can do it into the elbow, because he did it to me yesterday with a lot of ease, I'll say. 3 minutes of this race to go. Bars from Lambeth Teal. Now, you will have seen Ben Lambeth has had a track limit warning. We're mainly looking at the last corner here for those who weren't with us this morning for track limit. There it is. Thank you, Dom Cliff. Right on cue. And there's a big curb on the inside of the last corner that you'll see when we get to it. But there's also a scissor curb on the outside, on driver's left, where the drivers have been told, do not touch it. JV will not be happy. That will be track limits. So we've seen a couple of them come in so far in this race. But it's gone into a steady rhythm, this one so far, Howard, with Bars out front just pulling away a little bit from Ben Lambeth. Daz still quite happy to sit there in third for this precise moment of the race.
Yeah, exactly. And indeed, having one eye on the long game as well, doesn't want to throw away a good haul of points. Although once again, he has a strong run through Club Corner. Very
strong. Very good indeed. New fastest lap of the race from Bars, 50.664. Can Daz Teal find a way past? It's a good line to defend to the inside. Oh, now there was a bit of contact there between Lambeth and Teal has forced the door open. Bryn Albans coming into it now, and the number 16 down the inside of Callum Martin. He really is in good form this weekend. I saw him out in the test session on Friday evening, and he looked well up for the challenge here at GYG this weekend.
Very much the appropriate helmet design as well.
Oh, yes.
The Welsh Dragon, the Welsh flag design, being worn with a certain amount of pride, I would imagine, on this weekend. This Glan-Y-Gors alongside Landau, the two circuits that we routinely visit in Club 100. Rihanna Percox there in the blue, yellow and pink helmet, coming up onto the back of this battle as Callum Martin tries to have a look back at Bryn Albon, and that was an interesting place to begin the exchange at the turning point there. This is where we talk about patience. He might have been able to find a gap on the inside there under braking. If you go for it on the turn-in, you've got to be alongside in order to try and stamp your authority through that right-hand turn-in. It's at the braking point where you start to try and find the way through. And there are opportunities because there's a bit more grip for braking, unusually, in a way. Actually not unusually. There's a bit more grip for the braking on the outside.
Yeah.
So there's an optimum line, and we saw it a lot this morning. Drivers who are defending positions, as we might see Ed Bars having to start thinking about doing on this lap potentially, if Daz Teal has a good run here, will keep it tight on the braking, but it does mean they have to brake a little bit earlier. So you see drivers going wide and trying to get the switch back. What happens this time? The door is left open, and that is Daz Teal going for it on Ed Bars. Ed Bars will have the inside line there, but is Daz Teal going to go to the inside for Carousel? We've seen a few moves pay off like this, but he can't make it stick. So it would have to take something a bit bolder through this technical section where Teal is strong, but Ed Bars...
Good experience from Bars there. He just held the outside line, carried the speed, didn't panic when Daz tried that attempt on his lead. But coming down into the final corner now, this is where we saw the action in the A final for the heavyweights. It's going to be a win for Ed Bars, a big win for Ed Bars, trying to get his season back on track here today at GYG. He takes the maximum points from Heat 1 ahead of Daz Teal. Ben Lambeth is his top C2 there on the road in third. Callum Martin fourth. Bryn Albon, good result for Bryn there in P5. Rihanna Percox sixth. Stephen Westwood, good drive from Stephen there in 7th place. Dom Cliff was 8th. Charlie Summers 9th. Jeremy Deeks was 10th. Rob Langthorpe 11th. Your top C3 was Harris Ahmed in 12th. Joe Bailey in 13th. Steph Theodoru won't be happy with that in 14th place. Andrew Ravage 15th. Second in C3 was Stan Grokot in 16th. And another C3 in 17th in Andy Berry. Keith Segal, Tommy Lee, James Scanlon, Matthew Cliff and Nicholas Lacassas finished the 22, and that's a pair of legs walking down. Was that JV's legs?
It was, yeah.
Oh, of course. So tanned, so beautiful. Look at him. An exquisite example of the human form. Let's get ready for heat number 2. That's up next. Let's compose ourselves. Let's have a look at the grid for heat number 2 in the lightweights here at GYG. Andrew, oh dear, it's curse time. It's curse time, ladies and gentlemen. Andrew Ward, the third member of the DDMM Barnstormers, has pole position for this one. Dan Seeger alongside on the front row. Hussein Rashid and Matthew Cockram on row 2. Russell Cooper and Sam Slater is your third row of the grid. Jake Wilkins and Garrett Berry start on row 4. Rhys Clary and Justin Draper complete the top 10. Dean Everest and Rhys Pope are on the 6th row of the grid. Martin Joyce and David Hamer are there on row 7. Greg Smith and Zach Stout start on row 8. Jagjit Singh and Harrison Kirkham on the 9th row of the grid. And then to complete the grid, we have James Browning and Livia Ojo on the 10th row of the grid. Adam Britton on his own on row 11. There's 21 carts scheduled to be in the field.
Now, Andrew Ward does have a distinct advantage compared to yesterday in that he hasn't got me with him to hold him up.
That is true.
You know, so...
But he has got us now in the comms box where,
we are
as we have been mentioning,
commentators' curses.
The last month in particular, the curse has been very strong. Very, very strong. And there is time, ladies and gentlemen out there, that if you have cake in your possession, bring it to the comms box. We're up on the top floor of the clubhouse, and you will be saved, possibly, from the comms box. 80% of the time, it works all the time.
You know how when you go to the supermarket and your favourite brand of squash has gone for double strength and then quadruple strength?
Yeah.
We've done that for 2022, it would seem. Fast acting.
Very fast acting.
Fast acting, super effective.
If you're one of our iRacing drivers a couple of weeks ago, it even managed to travel faster than the speed of light.
There you go. Which is weird considering as you were saying it through the medium of sound, which is also slower than. No, I get what you mean. Sorry, that was my one, wasn't it?
Safe.
That was my curse. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. Anyway, so these 21 carts will take to the track. And one last thing I didn't mention about I was talking about the random grid slots and the average. The one thing I didn't mention, the one aspect of that was that the Class 3 novice drivers, they do all start at the back. So they won't have the same average grid start position as everybody else. Within that class, they still are cycled around so that they all have the same average grid slot within that class. But that is done because it's just a little bit nerve-wracking and intimidating. If you are a novice driver, maybe this is your first ever Club 100 Sprints round, it's a little bit harrowing to be put on pole when you've got all these drivers around you. So for those novice drivers, they do start towards the back. They cut their teeth, as it were, over the course of the season, and if they move up to the Class 2 order in subsequent seasons, or we have had it before where certain Class 3 drivers have moved mid-season. It does happen. It's at that point that they will then be treated in exactly the same way in that regard. But that's just to, and as I always say this, as someone who used to compete in BUKT Rookies, which was in Club 100 machinery, at a time when they did run random grids, I am very much in favour of this because there is nothing quite more nerve-wracking than being on the front row. It's a great shot. I love it.
Who put that static camera there this morning? We didn't have this last week. Oh, it was Morgan.
It was Morgan.
Very good.
I mean, I don't want to take away from Morgan's achievement, but anyone can put a camera there. Sorry, Morgan.
Yeah,
actually, no.
They didn't
I say
last
that.
Week.
I'm terrible at setting up these cameras.
Oh,
so that's not true in of itself. All I'm saying is I feel like Snowden is doing the heavy lifting of making that shot amazing, albeit Morgan did have to put the camera
I'm giving... Oh, dear, this is a bit of a rough and ready... this is
practice,
boys.
This is warm-up.
Come on.
But yeah.
No, we didn't have this shot last week for Super 1.
I see what you're saying. Yes.
Anyone who was on the crew last week, come on, step your game up. I want better for Clay Pigeon in a few weeks' time. Talking of future streams, whilst we've... this is the weird segue. 21st of May, we're back in 2 weeks' time. On the Saturday, I'm going to say it again, on the Saturday, a Club 100 stream on a Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
We've never had that before, but we've also never had a round of the Club 100 Cadet Championship. It'll be a historic day in the history of Club 100. We'll be down at Buckmore Park for the start of it all. We very much hope you will be with us here on the Alpha Live YouTube channel. It'll be myself and John Ratcliffe on commentary for that. We'll have a bit of comms box cam. It'll all be good for round 1 of the cadets and round 2 of the juniors as well. So what was last year the Young Drivers Championship, now renamed the Juniors Championship, part of the alignment with the Motorsport UK ladder. Very excited for that, as I say, in 2 weeks' time. And for anyone watching who's going to be involved in that, we're going to try and get it together over the next couple of days to send out a DDMM comms box information sheet, because we're going to have a lot of young drivers who we've never seen race before. We want that those stories about them to tell the people all about the new drivers here to Club 100.
Do you want my junior championship random segue?
Go on.
They just went past Marshall Post 2, or they have actually before they went through the right-hander there. They went through Marshall Post 2. I believe that's currently manned right now by Bailey and Chris Morgan.
Oh,
They're on that post right now. They're lending a hand with marshal duties today. Got talking to Chris in the lunch break. It was great to catch up with him, actually. Bailey, a driver who we've seen, of course, a lot in the Sprint Championship. This year he's opted to do the endurance format.
Yep.
And the Club 100 experience as well, we should mention as well. So great to catch up with him and talk a little bit about how they're enjoying their racing in another form of Club 100 racing.
Here we go then. Heat number 2 is our endurance teammate going to be cursed into turn 1. Away we go for 7 minutes here at GYG. Ward holds to the inside there. Side by side with Seeger. That's perfect. That is a perfect start from P2 for Dan Seeger. Maybe. He did cross the line. The 0.023 across the line.
We'll see how they call that one.
Yep.
But as they come into the spoon, it's looking clean enough. So
there is a level of tolerance that we should mention. But apart from that, pretty good for our drivers at the front of the field. Seeger from Ward into Carousel, and Greg Smith to the outside trying to gain positions. This is his starting from the back position.
Battling away there with David Hamer in the number 24, and he's also, I think, got by Martin Joyce. No, I think Joyce has been able to hold him off actually on this first lap as they come around to cross the timing beacon here. It is going to be Dan Seeger who leads this one ahead of Andrew Ward. Just a reminder that there's a contact warning for the 21 of Martin Joyce. Just as a reminder, our Class 1 drivers are running the red number plates on their karts today. The Class 2 and Class 3 runners are running black number plates as Seeger takes the tighter line that we've been talking about to go defensive against Andrew Ward. Behind them, Matthew Cockram in that 27, and then side by side here between Garrett Berry and the 78 of Jake Wilkins.
Reese Pope following through there really nicely. Very impressive season so far from Reese Pope, one of our younger drivers here in the seniors. He's already gained a lot of experience over the past couple of years here in sprints and is growing ever more the faster racer here in the lightweight sprints. He's going to have a go at Garrett Berry into the final corner. Nope, thinks better of it. 5 minutes and 15 to go. It's Seeger from Ward, Cockram in third, Garrett Berry fourth, Reese Pope up to fifth, confirmed on timing. Jake Wilkins down to sixth. Couple of track limit warnings coming in for Aidan Britton and Harrison Kirkham.
Garrett Berry just got by Matthew Cockram around the outside, and he's got through on Andrew Ward as well. Where did that come from? Sorry, I flailed at the screen there in the comms box here because that was an incredible run for Garrett Berry through Club Corner and up the hill. He definitely has that car underneath him, and he's immediately up to second place. Is the driver of the number 22. He's already said, you know what? He's suddenly come on fire here in this third lap of the race, and he's now all over the back of Dan Seeger. But if he's got the pace that he had last time up the Dragon Straight, I'd keep an eye on him this time round.
One heat win so far this season for Garrett Berry, sixth in points at the start of things here today. He's pulled out to the outside He's going to try and go around the outside of Dan Seeger, who's got a lot of waft in that engine. He is going to go for the outside move, and he's got it done. Brilliant stuff from Garrett Berry. Takes the lead here at Glan-Y-Gors.
Yeah, brilliant stuff there from Garrett Berry, and that's the second lap in the row that he has gone around the outside. He did the same thing to Matthew Cockram a lap ago, who incidentally has just dropped back behind Reese Pope last time around as well. So it's now Garrett Berry ahead of Dan Seeger, Andrew Ward and Reese Pope. Cockram rounding out your top 5. Just dropping off a little bit off the back of this top 4. So 2 Class 2 drivers ahead of 2 Class 1 runners at the moment. Everyone in the same machinery, we should stress, between these subclasses. When we're talking about them, we're not talking about differences in machinery. It's just based on experience and former achievements, basically, of, we'd expect you on balance to be towards the head of the field. Yep. Gives everybody something to race for. Dan Seeger, not for the first time, having to think a little bit about an attack here from Ward, and Ward's going down the inside at Carousel, and that's nicely judged there, and Reese Pope is ready to pounce as well. Seeger slotting into place behind them.
Yeah, that was another really nice move from Reese Pope. That's twice he's done a move like that in. Oh, there's an attack there from Pope on Ward. Ward manages to deal with it well. There's a bit of a turning action there going through the 13 cart for a short moment. 3 minutes to go. This is great news for Garrett Berry because he's galloping away. 1.2 seconds is now the lead for Ward. For Berry over Ward. Curb warning for our leader, though. I wonder if that will have been through the last corner. So again, it's and down the inside goes Reese Pope through Spoon on Andrew Ward and takes second place. Well done.
Yeah, got a lot of confidence in the car, has Reese Pope, and gives the gesticulation to say, let's work together here. I'm not sure, though, Andrew, if they got enough time. Garrett Berry is really dialed in with this circuit, and is clearly he's got a car under. I say that actually, he's just got a curb warning, but he's got a car underneath him that he feels he can push with here. Should say slightly further back, you can see there actually Jake Wilkins in the 78 leading the sort of next train of carts who are battling away for 6th place down. You'll see him in the back of some of these shots.
It's interesting seeing the different lines through the Devil's Elbow complex between this group here. It's quite pronounced in places. Good speed from Pope, a 50.337 last time around. He's definitely the second quickest driver out there on the road. Matthew Cockram's holding in there nicely as well. Number 27 in the red and whites, just at the back of that group.
Harrison Kirkham, highest place Class 3 runner at the moment, just got up to 11th place recently by going past Dean Everest, so he's driving very well in amongst the Class 3 runners.
Max Prentice asks a good question. Have they redone the Turn 1 exit curb? I think it has been worked on at least a little bit. I will admit the last time I was looking at that curb was 5 years ago when Willie Chew binned me off in a BUKC race at Turn 1. No, I think they have done a little bit of work because there's still the old whitish curb just coming around here on driver's left. That white blob there, that you don't want to be hitting. No. I know that for a fact, but yeah, I think they have done a little bit of work there here at GYG. A good battle involving Hussein Rashid going on here, and round he goes, and that's
Justin Draper.
Yeah, Justin Draper round. That's probably going to be a takeout penalty for Hussein Rashid. And all I'm going to say is cake. Cake was not delivered. That's the third one of the day.
In everyone's defence, as we're watching a battle here between David Hamer, and there is the penalty for Hussein Rashid. That is David Hamer through past. I think he might have just taken a position back from Harrison Kirkham, having been passed earlier in the lap. As our leaders are on to the last lap. In everyone's defence for delivering us cake, I'm not sure everyone's aware where we are.
It's true.
Today. We are a bit hidden away here at GYG in the clubhouse. But it's a very nice position to watch this racing from. Garrett Berry then on his final tour of the circuit. And he's controlled this one nicely since getting to the front. I think Reese Pope and Andrew Ward have tried to work together to get onto the back of him here. Pope has the fastest lap of the race of 50.093, which, that pace has some rude health to it. But he's not going to have enough, I don't think, to reel in Garrett Berry. He'd have liked a few more laps, but it is Garrett Berry in the 22 who's going to take the win in heat number 2. Reese Pope will finish second with Andrew Ward in 3rd place. Dan Seeger is next, Matthew Cochran rounding out the top 5. Jake Wilkins in 6th, Hussein Rashid has taken Wilkins on the last lap and will negate some of his takeout penalty. Russell Cooper is then in 8th, 9th for David Hamer, and Harrison Kirkham rounding out the top 10, the highest placed of our novice drivers. Then it's Dean Everest, Adam Britton, Martin Joyce in 13th place, Greg Smith in 14th, Jagjit Singh next in 15th place, James Browning in 16th, Justin Draper in 17th, Zach Stout in 18th, and Olivia Ojo round out your 19 finishers for that second heat of the day. And already I can hear the whistle being blown for the carts to go out for heat number 3. Let's take you through the grid then for this third heat of the day. Sam Essery will start this one from pole with Ned Douglas alongside. It will be Luke Phillips and Tim Penny on the second row of the grid. Ramanas Sakauskas and George Lyon make up row 3. Next up on row 4, it's going to be Yusuf Bin Suhail with Dante Dillon alongside. Mike Coppin and Chris Woodger round out the top 10. Ashley White and Tom Eastwood are on row number 6. Fraser Brunton is next with Amy Breacher alongside. Evan Craig and Matt Ellis are row 8. Kim Ely and Joe Radcliffe are row 9. And rounding out the 20 kart grid, it's going to be Yusuf Serhajono and Hakon Lees. That's how they line up for heat 3 of round 3 of the lightweight 2022 Club 100 Senior Sprints Championship.
Intrigued to see how our championship leader deals with this. This is their from the back grid slot for a C1 and C2 driver, so just ahead of all the C3s, the novices, who similarly have a front middle back situation in terms of where they start their races from. A little bit of caution is what I'm thinking on this first one. There's some very racy drivers in that mid pack just ahead of him.
Indeed. And
should mention as well before we get going, Ramanas Sakauskas does it again. Did a solo run of the endurance race yesterday, 2 hours, and ran very, very well as well. So well done to Ramanas for doing that.
I'm impressed because this track in dry conditions is a bit of a roller coaster. It's quite tough on the body in many ways, and I tell you what, I went out I was the first out of our team in practice yesterday for the endurance, and we were sat stationary in the karts for a little while. There's a concrete wall in the pit lane. It was baking. It was like I was in a bread oven. Well, as much as I can speak to that.
Have you experienced with sitting in a bread oven?
No. Anyway, Ramanas was also in those conditions and then ran the entirety of practice and quali and the race. I'm forever impressed by his stamina with regards to that.
He's a lot younger than us, though, so he's got that advantage.
There is that. But I love that shot as well.
Yes.
I have to say this shot as well for me is the Glan-Y-Gors shot with Snowden in the background and going down there through the compressions and Devil's Elbow. The clubhouse there as well. Fantastic to see so many people out and about here making the most of this the glorious weather that we've got this weekend. As I say, because it's for a lot of our drivers, there's a slightly further trip to make. A lot of people make a good weekend of it. That's why we've got quite so many drivers who have done the full package, as it were, this weekend of maybe doing the SP60s and or the endurances and now are taking part in the sprints. I say it's not just that, of course. It was the point you were making earlier, mate, that we haven't actually been here for a sprint championship in a little while. So a lot of the drivers, for some drivers, this is their first time and they wanted to really get bedded into this circuit. So, yeah. But it's great to have so many people out and about and speaking to so many people in the paddock as well. Great to have you along.
This will be the last race of these heats where there will be some practice laps beforehand. This is on the basis that there could be drivers out there who have not done a practice lap at full speed so far this weekend. But that's it now. There won't be any more of these 3 or 4 practice laps that everybody does before the races. We'll be whipping through them after this one. The run from Heat 4 to Heat 9 went very, very quickly for the heavyweights this morning. But
I'm trying to think which circuit it was in my very first season of sprints where the BUKC had never visited it. and I turned up, and I hadn't booked any test session, and I had those 3 laps to learn the track. I'm trying to think which one it would have been.
Lid.
It might have been Lid. It might have been Lid, because I don't think I went to Ella Park that season. Yeah. I don't recommend that if you can avoid it. It's good to... Might have been Shenny. Anyway, as Andrew says, after this, all of the drivers will sort of have finished our first rotation, as it were, of the 9 heats that we've got. So after this, every single driver in this lightweight field will have contested 1 heat race, the third of which we are looking ready to start here. Samuel Essery on your left, driver's right. Ned Douglas alongside in that high-vis helmet in the number 19. Away we go into Club Corner. Ned Douglas coming across there, I think, to try and deter anyone from going for a move, and it seems to have worked well for him, but in doing so it's allowed Essery to get away quite strongly up the hill here as they sweep through. Whoa. And that's a big moment there from the mid-pack. Someone going off at high speed there.
Might have been. No, it's not Dante Dillon. I just saw Dante's helmet go through. We'll try and track who that was. We haven't got sector timing round here at this particular circuit. It's all looking a little bit rough and ready in the midfield. Is off there. Is that Yusuf bin Sahel having a bit of a moment in the 116? It might well have been, or as we're coming through. But that's a great start for Samuel Essery. No, sorry. Yusuf's got himself up to P2, so it was another one of our 3-digit numbers towards the back. We'll figure it out in a moment's time. But C3 champion from last year, Samuel Essery, really on top of things here. Has got a heat win to his name so far this season already. So it's Essery from bin Sahel, Tchaikovskis. Looks like George Line was our driver off this corner here, coming up over the top of the hill through turn 2.
Has now crossed the line though, so he's circulating again, Andrew, and
good news.
Was in good enough condition, both man and machine, that could resume racing. Actually, hasn't gone into the pits as far as we can tell.
Down the hill, Dante Dillon is having a fantastic season so far. Sweeps through carousel there. Chris Woodger, who has a penalty for rad flap. So rad flap adjustment by George Line compounds his issues. He's got a penalty there, and he won't be doing that again now that he's had the notification. But Chris Woodger, I should give mention to Chris Woodger, because Chris Woodger, different era of course, different setup of the competition for the sprints, but was our A final winner in the lightweights 4 years ago when we last came here.
Yeah.
So we know he's got a bit of metal round here and can put a good result in. Dante Dillon down the inside of Ashley White there. Clean move there from Dante, and that's him up to 5th place. Going for 4th now, past Ramanas Sikauskis. Ashley White follows through. So Essery leads. Binter Hale 2nd. Mike Coppin did well on that first lap, has got himself up to 3rd place.
I want to say Dante got a podium in lightweight SP60 yesterday.
I think he did, yes. Yes, he did. Driver who also drives for Nottingham Trent University. And there's another BUKC driver on your screen. Cardiff's Fraser Brunton, current championship leader by 3 points. This is quite a key race, actually, because I've noted that you've got both Coppin and Brunton in this same race. 1 and 2 in the championship at the moment. Good move there from Fraser Brunton down the inside. Gets another position. So this is looking good at the moment, and that's Dante Dillon closing in on Mike Coppin now with a good amount of time on the clock. I wonder if Coppin and Dillon will work together at this stage to try and close down Yusuf bin Sahel.
Good drive from Sam Essery.
Yeah,
so
really
far,
good.
Got to say. Really doing well here. What have you're going to have to correct me if I'm wrong, mate, because we do have a lot. He's a driver who's worked his way up from Class 3 a few seasons ago.
C3, previous C3 champion.
Yes, indeed. And, yeah, really worked his way up and, now right up at the sharp end. So credit to him for that. As Mike Coppin maybe just taking a slightly tighter line. That one clipping that curb, Andrew, and that's going to compromise him, and that might be the opportunity that Dillon needs. Actually, he hasn't got the overspeed, has he, quite to convert that. But we spoke about that a bit this morning. That inside curb at Spoon, it's pretty nasty. You don't want to clip it, even with the rear wheels. Bearing in mind the rear of the cart is slightly wider than the front. It's easily done, but it's costly because it really upsets the cart trying to get the traction up and over the next crest, which brings you onto the Snowdon straight.
Yep. But it does look like they are closing in on Yusuf Bin Sahel. They've got themselves organised now. 50.321 last time around for Dylan. Let's see what the lap times are like this time. Yeah, not bad. 50.9 for Bin Sahel, 50.7s for both Coppin and Dylan. And I think Dylan will just keep doing this now. Keep pushing Mike Coppin up towards cart number 116. Because Dylan will be thinking in this situation, I'll try and gain 2 positions out of this with relatively little cost. They have now caught Yusuf Bin Sahel. This has been a brilliant lap so far for both Coppin and Dylan. This speed is carrying them towards now. If they can get past Bin Sahel quickly, they'll be thinking about potential for the race victory. 2 minutes of this race to go. At last count, it was a second between Essery and Bin Sahel.
Good drive nonetheless, this from Yusuf.
Yeah, very good.
You know, to be being reeled in fairly slowly by these two is not too shabby. So good pace for Bin Sahel.
Fraser Brunton's flying as well, has just set a 50.158. So there, you just saw him on the screen, black suit with the orange details, and then the white helmet is very, very quick indeed. As Coppin goes down the inside of Bin Sahel to take second place. Dante Dillon's trying there as well. He's going to be on the outside now as they go down the Snowdon Straight. And here is Fraser Brunton. Not a moment too soon that Coppin and Dillon had to get through there, and Dillon's not got the job done. Here comes Brunton. He's gained the position. So Fraser Brunton sat on the inside there, followed the wheel tracks of Yusuf Bin Sahel, and he's been rewarded with 4th place.
Yeah, absolutely. And now Brunton goes for the inside of Bin Sahel and gets that job done as well through Devil's Elbow. So really throwing down the gauntlet, or statement of intent, one might say, from Fraser Brunton here. And now Andrew, great job from Essery up front. He's good by a second from Mike Coppin, but you've got Coppin there, second in the championship coming into today, now being pursued by the person leading the championship in the form of Fraser Brunton. As behind him, Dante Dillon tries to get past Bin Sahel again in pretty much an identical attempt to what we saw last time around, and again can't make it stick. And this time it's Ashley White in the 64 who Dillon needs to be conscious of about losing too much time and allowing to have an opportunity to pass. Important
lap this Coppin because they're going to have 2 more after this, or at least another full tour. Yes, they're going to have 1 more as Dillon finally gets through past Bin Sahel. This is all about, has he set himself up into a position where he can take the race win? I think he's a little bit too far back here. Fraser Brunton's going to be thinking about Mike Coppin's second place, especially when he pops in a 50.088.
Yep, absolutely. So there is Mike Coppin defending against Fraser Brunton here. And
Whoa!
Brunton's gone for it. Brunton's gone for it. And how is that going to be viewed by race control? Mike Coppin is not happy with that. And that is the championship rivals coming together in their very first heat of the day. Their very first moment where they're on track together.
Yeah,
very early on in this championship, of course, but that is a statement of intent in many ways from Brunton, and we'll have to see how race control view that one.
Well, Samuel Essery has been supreme out front in this race. He's had no trouble at all. He's going to take a second heat win of the season. Samuel Essery takes heat number 3. We'll be very pleased with that effort. Fraser Brunton on the line is second, Mike Coppin third. Dante Dillon pops in a 49.953 at the end there. That's one of the fastest laps we've seen so far this weekend. Yusuf Bin Sahel in 5th, Ashley White in 6th, Chris Woodger 7th, Aramanas Sakauskas in 8th, Tim Penny 9th, Kim Ely top C3 there, completing the top 10. Ned Douglas, Matt Ellis, Amy Breacher, Luke Phillips and Hakon Lees take us down to 15th. We're going to get ready for heat number 4. Heat number 4, then here is your grid. Greg Smith has pole position for this one. Martin Joyce alongside on the front row. Dean Everest and David Hamer are there on row 2. Reese Pope and Callum Martin form up row number 3. Russell Cooper and Ben Lambeth are on row 4. Dan Seeger and Ed Bars have a lot of experience there on row 5. Keith Segal and Jake Wilkins are on row 6. And then we find Charlie Summers and Sam Slater on row number 7. Garrett Berry and Nicholas Lacazas are there on row 8. Olivia Ojo and Zach Stout on row 9 before we find Dan Gokart and Harrison Kirkham completing the 20 kart field.
Spoke to Greg Smith quite a bit yesterday.
Yeah.
It's good to catch up. Always comes over and says hello. trying to get the basics right today, he was telling me, and he'll be aiming for a decent finish. Away they go then for heat number 4, and it is a good start for him from pole. Reece Pope, once again, is looking racy, but he's going to get nerfed onto the grass there a little bit in his attempt to take second place, and that's been costly for him there as Martin Joyce has held on to second place. As they all sweep around, Garrett Berry is off and wide onto the grass there in the number 22, but manages to come back on. And meanwhile, Keith Segal has had a moment as to...
Oh, my goodness, 3 of them off. This is Ed Barr's, Ben Lambeth's in there as well.
Yes, indeed, as is Charlie Summers in the 54. My goodness me. Okay, this has been a bit of a dramatic start here. The start has been called good. Not enough karts have come to a stop to cause race control to throw the full start flag. Dream start, though, in many ways, for Greg Smith, who's going to lead them round to finish this first lap. And Martin Joyce has been able to retain second place. Not too often that we've seen that, to be honest. It's either hero or zero stuff from second place. But this is the 40 of Dean Everest, who's battling away. Reece Pope has eventually got by, as has Dan Seeger, and now he's going to be exposed to Harrison Kirkham. He's started from the back in the Class 3 runnings there, so he's had a mega start to this race.
Well, that has been a very, very topsy first lap of this one. Greg Smith is your leader. Martin Joyce second. I'm just looking further back to where Ed Barr's down in 15th. So Ed Barr's, Ben Lambeth, Charlie Summers, Olivia Ojo and Keith Segal all in trouble on that first lap. Really not good stuff for them at all.
But plus 11 places there for Kirk.
Yeah.
I think that's a good reading, good instinct reading some of those situations. Notably, Andrew, I'm not seeing any penalties coming up yet. And
no.
We should mention as well, for how that last race ended, we don't know the situation with any penalties yet. That will have been decided post-race for clearly a move that Mike Coppin wasn't too happy, clearly.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see how that all transpires. Out of the results?
+4. I've just had that from Motorsport Magpie, David Whitehouse. That is a +4 for Fraser Brunton on Mike Coppin, and I think I tend to agree with that one. Crucial few laps these for Reece Pope in terms of trying to get past this traffic. You'd say on current form, he's got that pace to catch up to Greg Smith as he's having a look to the outside. That's a very different one from Reece Pope.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to get through. He's got to find these, because otherwise Greg Smith has got a nice lead here. 1.4 seconds at the last count. Make that 1.8 for Greg Smith. Because at the moment, this group here haven't got the pace to close him down. Fastest driver is our top C3, Harrison Kirkham. So 50.774. Pope now down the inside of Martin. Was a long way alongside in the braking zone. Let's say that's a little bit different to what we saw with Brunton, because he wasn't fully alongside on the entry. Dan Seeger has got past Harrison Kirkham there. And that's why I think sometimes it can, pod-to-pod contact can look as... Oh, in fact, Haim has been very kind there to Reece Pope. Left him a lot of room, and Reece Pope has got through. We see pod-to-pod contact a little bit sometimes in Club 100, but the at least in my view, and when I've officiated before, if on that little point just before you get on the brakes, if the karts are alongside and then the kart on the outside turns in, it's not really on the driver on the inside. But if it is one of those lunges, or they've kind of like driven through the side pod of the driver on the outside, I can see why the penalty's been given. Ed Barrs is having a tough race here. He's had a bump and pass penalty. He's stuck down here in 11th place.
Yeah, and it's an interesting one, this. Obviously, he was involved in the drama on the first lap, and he's now got that penalty, as Andrew says. It's an interesting one. Our champion from 2 years ago in this category, he was carrying that number 1 plate last season, and obviously with the number 2, finishing second in last season, and he's not yet been able, Andrew, to get things going with this campaign. I don't feel, Sorry, where Garrett Berry's up to 7th? This is a man who was off wide up the hill on lap 1. He's on a mission today, isn't he? After that win in the first heat.
Pope has got through into second place past Martin Joyce. So now the race for the lead really begins. It was 2.8 seconds for Smith over Joyce when we last counted. We're about to get that updated in a few moments' time, but I imagine it's gone up again as there's been battling between the 21 and the number 9. Yes, it has. At 2.9 seconds. I don't think Reece Pope has got enough time here. I think Greg Smith could be on here for his first ever, if I'm not mistaken, as Garrett Berry's on the grass again, trying to go around the outside. He has made it work.
This is on David Hamer. He's just finding moves. It's not that he's finding moves where people aren't in terms of where he is on track, but the way he's doing them is
brave.
Yeah.
I'll sure be corrected if I'm wrong, but I don't think Greg Smith's had a sprints victory before. He definitely hasn't had one this season. He was in C2 for the first time last year and C3 the year before that. But just over 60 seconds of this race to go. And Greg Smith responds with, was the fastest lap of the race, 50.5 versus Reece Pope's 50.1. The gap is now 2.5 seconds, but there's not going to be more than 2 laps left of this one. Garrett Berry's now your fastest driver out on circuit. Penalty for Jake Wilkins, forcing a driver wide in a battle that he's been involved with there. Here we're looking at the battle coming down the hill. This is the number 32 of Callum Martin, and Harrison Kirkham just ahead.
I'm going to say that Greg Smith hasn't had a heat win before, mate. I'm not seeing any on his scorelines from the last seasons.
Martin Joyce has been caught by Dan Seeger. He's having a great season so far. Is Seeger going to look for a move into the last corner? No, I think he's just going to try and it is a good thing about this Glan-Y-Gors circuit that if you've got that patience, as we've been talking about, get a good run out of the last corner, through the first corner, which is flat in these conditions, set a move up for the top of the hill. We are now on the last lap. Leader as Dan Seeger goes down the inside of Martin Joyce there. Right on cue. Thank you, Dan. Garrett Berry's going to try and get past Martin Joyce as well. But Greg Smith has come through the levels, and this is going to be a real feel-good moment for the driver in the number 23. Hasn't had a victory in Club 100 sprints individually before. Here he is, down through the Devil's Elbow for the final time. There might be a quite big celebration about to come here, because Greg Smith is a winner in Club 100. Heat 4 goes to Greg Smith. Reece Pope takes second place. Martin Joyce is pipped to third place there by Dan Seeger. So Dan Seeger third, Joyce fourth. Garrett Berry fights back to, I think that's one of the most remarkable top fives he's had so far this season. But a top 5 it is. David Hamer in 6th. Harrison Kirkham is your top C3 in 7th. Callum Martin 8th. Russell Cooper and Dean Everest complete the top 10. Ben Lambeth in 11th. Not a good race for Ed Bars in 12th. Nicholas Lacassas in 13th. Second of his C3s. Jake Wilkins, Charlie Summers completes his top 15. Dan Grocott was third in C3 ahead of Zach Stout, Keith Segal and Livia Ojo. Right, well there we go. That is Heat 4 done. We'll take a short break and we'll be back out on circuit for a moment for Heat number 5.
Let's take you through the grid then for Heat number 5. Just as the drivers are getting ready. Amy Breacher will take this one from pole with Tom Eastwood alongside Chris Woodger, and Fraser Brunton are on row 2 with Ashley White and Tim Penny on row number 3. Row 4 is going to be Bryn Olban and Sam Essery. Joe Bailey and Luke Phillips round out the top 10 with Justin Draper and Jeremy Deeks up next. Row 7 is going to be Dom Cliff and Yusuf Bin Sahel. Then it will be Daz Teal and Hakon Lees. Harris Ahmed and Matthew Cliff on row number 9. James Scanlon and Evan Craig. And then James Browning and Andy Berry to round out the 22 kart field there. There's a slight delay getting them going there, because I've been able to get through the grid and they're just coming off now. And that is Chris Woodger having a little bit of a hold up getting the car going, but he's underway now. So they will take to the track. No warm-up laps, remember. They will go straight into their rolling up laps, ready for this 5th heat. I told you they came through quite quickly. I think Ami's there going, where is everyone? But yeah. No, very happy for Greg there. That was a good win for him in that heat just then. And as I say, very friendly driver, always comes up and says hello. Comes and has a chat, and well, he told me he wanted to go back to basics and have a good weekend. That was that was quite. You nailed the basics there. I'll say that. Got the win in. That was fantastic stuff. As we get ready then for this 5th heat. So it's Breacher in the number 15, Eastwood alongside in the 12.
At least should be, but I don't see the number 12.
Oh, sorry, yeah, it is. It's Chris Woodger.
Eastwood's not here today.
So okay, so slight rejig of the grid.
One.
Yeah, so Amy Breacher on your left, driver's right, and away we go. What can she do from pole? Is Chris Woodger going to be able to time a charge from 2nd place? I think he got that one. Ooh, we're going to see what they say. Stage left as they come here. Oh, okay, some people have gone off stage left. I think that might have been... No, we'll look to confirm who that is, actually. But it is Chris Woodger who leads them through. Oh, is it?
No, Ashley
White's gone through. Great few corners for Ashley White to get up. So it's Ashley White ahead of Chris Woodger and Fraser Bunter. But Ashley White has
pass.
Yeah, so the way in which Ashley's got through there is not befitting the letter of the law according to race control. Amy Breacher still hanging on there, I think, for 4th place at the moment, as Daz Teal is trying to make early progress up through the field, as there's a big moment there for Dom Cliff through the last corner in the number 17. Manages to hold that one together as the rear steps out on him through the final corner. But yeah, Ashley White with that penalty. So it'll be 4 places added to wherever he finishes the race. Chris Woodger in 2nd, and then Fraser. He's looking for it on Woodger. It's going to have to be in the latter phase, and he's getting through, but Woodger will have the inside for the next section, and look out for Amy Breacher behind to try and come back through. He'll get the switch back, though, Will Brunton, and that was nicely read ultimately over the course of a few corners for Fraser Brunton, and he's got the job done and is up into 2nd place, which is a net 1st by dint of the penalty against Ashley White.
Does like a switch back, does Fraser Brunton. That was very nicely done indeed. Now, can Fraser Brunton set about Ashley White? May not necessarily know that it's the number 64 ahead and that they have a penalty. So 1.1 seconds was the gap at the end of that lap, which was lap number 2. Amy Breacher's having a strong run here. Is top C2 at the moment. In C3, it's James Scanlon at the front of the C3 order in 14th overall.
Tim Penny having a good battle with Bryn Olban at the back of this pack as well. I say battle, they might be just keeping their powder dry at the moment because they're coming up onto the back of this. There they are. So Sam Essery in the number 20 now coming under increased pressure from the 14 and the 16 carts respectively.
Where did Daz Teal start this race?
I think this is his lowest one, but I will double check.
Yeah, because at the moment he's down in 11th place.
Yeah, he was effectively at the back. He was the first cart, not a C3. Well, he was just ahead of all the Class 3 runners. So yeah, this is his one from the back.
He's got up to 10th place now. Has got past Justin Draper on that last lap. Dom Cliff and Luke Phillips follow him through, and if Dom Cliff can keep doing that, that's a good wheel to be in the tow of, as the number 20 Samuel Essery looking to try and get past Amy Breacher there, not quite able to do so on that occasion.
And yeah, I still say Tim Penny just positioning his car perfectly to deter a move from Olban here. He's actually doing some really good defensive driving. He was taking that tighter line over the crest of the hill into the spoon earlier on in the lap. So I think Bryn Olban's going to have to get creative here if he wants to make up positions, but that might be a run for Penny on Essery anyway, because he's in the slipstream here. Amy Breacher's got a bit of a gap to be a buffer.
They need to keep working together because Daz Teal's pace is good, and he will close in. They've got to think about the latter 60 seconds, 90 seconds at most of this race, which we're still a minute and a half away from.
Bincer Hale as well is reeling them in, actually.
Yeah.
4/10 faster than this pack on the last lap. You can see him now coming into play in the red and white suit.
Because if they fight too much, they'll give more time away to the likes of Bincer Hale and Teal behind, who will be snapping at their heels when they get into that final minute of the race. I would mention that there's a cone penalty for Justin Draper out there. So he's having a bit of a tough time in 13th place at the moment. But 2 3/4 minutes to go. The lead is 1 second for Ashley White. But remember, he has a penalty. So at the moment, Fraser Brunton is inheriting the race victory. Chris Woodger in second place, Amy Breacher in third. Penalty for Dom Cliff, takeout penalty, not seen on our screens.
It's against Jeremy Deeks, I would imagine,
Yep.
who unfortunately has just dropped to the back of the order. Good run off of the corner there for Tim Penny, and old Essery's coming across there to try and shut the door. That was, you got to be careful doing that.
Yep.
Let's put it that way, because that might have been a little late to be coming across and closing the door, but it stays as they were either way. But I feel like there's a certain amount of there's pressure building in this pack of karts for me, Andrew, and I do hope it turns up some good overtakes rather than some haphazard overtake attempts.
There is, but the pace of this group is still pretty good.
True,
true. They've just all been in the low 51s there, compared to a 50.9 for Yusuf Bin Sahel, a 50.6 for Daz Teal. Gap at the front of the field, it keeps wobbling back and forth around 1 second, and now the battle's in. Yusuf Bin Sahel comes on the scene, gets past Bryn Elban there. He's in no mood to work with these drivers at the moment. He's having a look, half a look down the inside there on Tim Penny. And no doubt that Bin Sahel will have been aware of the pressure coming in behind from Daz Teal. You just saw him in the back of shot there, flash through the background. We're now in the last 90 seconds of this race. It's go time for all of these drivers if they want to get a top 5 in this heat. Heat number 5, 4 more heats after this to come. Remember that our race leader on the road has a penalty, so it doesn't matter for Fraser Brunton. The lead gap is going up. He's going to inherit that win anyway if he can just hold himself there ahead of Chris Woodger. This has been the kind of Chris Woodger drive that I've been expecting whilst getting ready for this event. As I say, he's pretty strong round here.
Yeah.
And has got a good amount of experience. And we've mentioned it before that generally some younger drivers in the lightweights who haven't necessarily raced here before. And that'll be a big thing for the likes of Woodger this weekend.
They have been able to... Oh, and there's the move from Penny, trying to get by on Essery, and it's all gone... it's held him up, certainly, because Yusuf Bin Sahel has come onto the scene and he's going to get by on all of them. Bryn Olban is conscious not to get a penalty, and there's Daz Teal in the number 4, passed on Essery. He is on the scene. I was about to say they were putting serious pressure on Amy Breacher, but in a few corners, they've allowed Breacher to get back on up the road. So there is Amy Breacher, and then here's the battle, which Bryn Olban is getting to the head of there as they come over the crest of the hill. Now Tim Penny in the 14's trying to go through on Yusuf Bin Sahel and gets that job done. What can Daz Teal do now down the Snowdon Straight, because Bin Sahel is surely compromised? He'll be down the inside into the carousel, as is Sam Essery behind them. And Bryn Olban now points to his head to say, let's think about this. Tim Penny's through, Daz Teal is through. There's pod-to-pod contact as they come into the compression here.
Yeah, the shark is in the water, and it's the form of Daz Teal. They were all tripping over one another, apologising to one another for the contact. Here comes the checkered flag. Ashley White takes it on the road, but Fraser Brunton will inherit the 20 points due to White's penalty. Second for Chris Woodger, a brilliant third for Amy Breacher, and on the line, fourth will go to Tim Penny. Ashley White will then slot in into 5th place ahead of Daz Teal. Samuel Essery in 7th, Yusuf Bin Sahel in 8th. Bryn Alban in 9th, Luke Phillips 10th. That was your top 10. Dom Cliff in 11th, Justin Draper in 12th. Hakon Lees in 13th, James Scanlon 14th. So Lees is your top C3 runner, pending any penalties. Joe Bailey was 15th, Matthew Cliff 16th, Andy Berry in 17th, Harris Ahmed in 18th place, James Browning in 19th, Jeremy Deeks in 20th, and Evan Craig 21st.
It was a good drive for Daz Teal, wasn't it? From the back of the C1 and C2 runners there. So good points secured there. Fraser Brunton with the win overall, though. Good points for him also. Coming up next here at GYG is lightweights heat number 6. Let's take you through the grid then for heat number 6. It'll be Rob Langthorpe on pole with arguably, I think, one of the best beards in the paddock, Steph Theodoro, alongside Rhiannon Percox and Andrew Rabbage are on row 2 with Stephen Westwood and Matthew Crockram on row 3. Ramona Sakauskas is back for even more racing. Really impressed with that. With Andrew Ward alongside on row 4. Ned Douglas and Hussein Rashid to round at the top 10. Mike Coppin and Dante Dillon are row 6. Row 7 will be Rhys Clary and George Lyne, hoping for a better sprint heat this time around for Lyne there, and Adam Britton and Yusuf Sohajono are row 8. Tommy Lee and Jagjit Singh are on row 9. Matt Ellis and Joe Radcliffe round out your top 20 with Kim Ely on row 11. Alone on that row for now, but there's 20 other co-racers to get stuck in with ahead. So plenty to go on there.
Keep your comments coming in and questions as well. And remember that 2 weeks' time we will be back, but on the Saturday, 21st of May, the first round of the all-new Club 100 Cadets Championship, which you'll be able to watch live, and round 2 of the Junior Championship. Full day of racing down at Buckmore Park.
I'm half expecting some comments in now to suggest everyone's favourite facial hair of the Club 100 paddock. Because now they've said that.
Well, I like the one directly behind me.
That's true.
Good.
That's true.
But
we've sat down at the opportune moment on our stream there, so you can all see Morgan's.
You can just probably see the. I've just realised now that we've moved the camera up, you might not actually be able to see us on the comms box. So we're getting old. We're getting old. Oh yeah, you can still just about see us. But yes, no. +4 penalties. Cheers, Dave. Keep these coming in. We've not got enough screens, or actually no, screens were fine. Bandwidth not. So +4 penalty for Yusuf bin Sahel. He falls to 12th in that last heat.
We are talking internet bandwidth, not our own.
Oh no, we're struggling with that.
We're struggling with that too, but that time he was talking about that.
Hello, Sam. Hello, Elliot. It's what I like about this place. It's a very chilled vibe. I think it's something to do with the air. It was like this at Super One last week. That I just don't get me wrong. I'm not criticising it, but sometimes in the middle of a race weekend it can be a bit of a tense atmosphere.
Yes.
And everything was just a nice level of mellow, relatively, last week at Super One.
It's because the engines die down and suddenly you can hear
the
birds and the sheep.
Yeah, no,
all that.
The distant rumbles of the A5. It's all good.
Hey,
and then an Impreza WRX comes flying through and ruins everything. Obnoxiously loud exhaust. But yes, no, it has been a little bit of a holiday out here for the last few weeks for those involved with the Alpha Live broadcasts. 3 weeks in a row that they've had some form of broadcast here, just on the edge of the Snowdonia National Park. But we're not quite sure what I think is it a HT lead or something being replaced, or not quite sure what's the hold up at the minute. In fact, I
wonder if maybe they've had to do a refilling of the Bowsers, and that maybe held up the fueling of the carts, is a guess.
But our Club 100 staff be hard working or hardly working at all. Working hard or hardly working, that's the phrase. But no, Sam will be another one with a junior driver. Actually, not a junior. Elliot will be racing in the cadets next time. We've got Club 100 action on your Alpha Live screens. And if you haven't already, do click that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss a single video, a single stream. We have got a couple of other streams running today as well. Don't go and watch them right now because the racing is going to continue here at GYG. But you've got British Kart Championships at PFI, if I'm not mistaken. I probably am mistaken. And the one that I definitely will be having a little watch of later is the Rotax Trophy Switzerland stuff. From Alpha Live's first international. Actually, no. I tell a lie. No, not first international. First in Italy.
Yes.
Furthest afield because it's further away.
Yeah, okay.
Than Le Mans. So they've never been further from Northamptonshire with Alpha Live. They've been at Franciacorta, which is a relatively new kart circuit. So even those who know their stuff might not be aware of Franciacorta. Franciacorta was a circuit I went to just under 2 years ago. Brilliant. I would love JV is watching this back. When we get back to the point when we can start doing international travel for Club 100 again, I think a Club 100 visit down to northern Italy, near the Alps, for a full weekend around Franciacorta, sign me up. That would be very, very nice. Make it happen, JV. But yeah, they've been covering some Rotax racing there this weekend with Alex Goldschmidt on commentary and Luke and the team out there. I hope it's all gone very well. I'm sure it'll have gone very, very well. But yeah, definitely give that a watch later on after we've finished here in Wales. So, grid now heading out, and Rihanna's going for a kart change there. That's why she's overtaken the pace karts. Not happy with something, so we'll bring the kart into the pits. We'll do a very quick removal of any lead ballast. The number board, there's a spinner as well. That's going to be a very lucky spinner that Rihanna's gone in for a kart change here. Because it means that the race won't start. Drivers are allowed to do this. This is absolutely fine per the regulations. What's happening here? Just getting some help to... We'll go to the front of the queue of the karts that are sat in pit lane and then take that one out. So we'll have a few more, or at least one more formation lap here for heat number 6. All of these drivers, this is their second heat. David makes a very good point. It's the first international customer. Yes, that is true. Because we did go to Le Mans for the Le Mans 24-hour kart race as part of the 24-hour karting series. Of course, that's organised by the great team up at Teesside.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, he's also put a load of frogs in the chat. I thought you didn't like that, David. So you're misbehaving again. Rihanna still just getting things right too. Actually gone to the back of the queue. Oh, okay.
That's because they were fueling.
Because yes, they've already fueled and they've already got the drivers for the next set of heats ready. So it looks panicked, but I assure you it's not. It's just efficiently getting through all the changes. So Rihanna will have felt that very experienced drivers raced in quite a few Sprints Championships for many years, raced for Birmingham in the British University's Karting Championship as well. She will have felt something on the kart that just made her think, no, this isn't going to do.
Just to be clear, yeah, it's permitted, but it's she did need to. You have to make that call very quickly.
Very quickly.
Mostly because half the time the race would start, but also if you do it on the second lap. It's a bit of a complicated. You're allowed. We had the practice laps earlier.
Yeah.
You can change during the practice laps, but there is a bit of, if the checkered flag's gone out for the end of those practice laps and you change kart then, it's a bit more complicated. Anyway, I'll stop about that because we've got a race to watch. Rob Langthorpe on your left, driver's right. Steph Theodora alongside trying to time the charge from second. Away we go then for heat number 6. Rihanna Percock slots in to second place unless Steph Theodora can get a better run round the outside. And it looks like Stephen Westwood may have had a good start as well as they all head up the hill for the first time. Is everyone? No, someone is on the grass and there's a big, there's loading in the middle there and someone was riding up on the back of another car. It's been very costly, I can see, for Steph Theodora, and that is called a false start. And there was just something about how they went out of that shot. The first shot where they swooped through, that made me go, that was going to end badly.
That was going wrong all the way from the bottom of the hill. I say I don't mince my words with this kind of thing. We always call it as we do. That was poor. Yes. That was really poor from this particular group of drivers. And I'm going to say it, lightweights have not been as good as the heavies so far.
Nope.
That's your formal DDMM telling off. So grid will be formed up again. Now I just wonder, the cart that rode up, I'm not too concerned about. The cart that was ridden up on top of, that looks radiator side to me.
Yeah,
I just saw Andrew Ward holding his radiator. That I don't know whether there's a damaged cart out there. All of these look okay. I think Andrew Ward's gone into pit
I
lane.
agree. So I think that might have been...
He was right in the middle of all of that. And for explanation of the folks at home, if these radiators get damaged, you see them on the right-hand side of the carts, for the driver's right, that is. If you lose one of them, and you can lose them if there's an impact to the side, we're always told, if you go in right-hand side first, check your radiator. Make sure that's okay, because if that comes off, and one of these Rotax Evo engines is run without water cooling for a period of time, they can blow. Andrew Ward has now re-emerged out of the pit lane.
Yeah, difficult to say because it will happen pretty quickly. I think it might have been George Lyon in the 18 who was the driver who rode up on the back. Because you can see his sort of orange, white and black suit. I picked that out when the incident was occurring. And there is Andrew Ward coming into slot into position.
Position of 8th place. See Freddie Gallagher at the back of the queue there. Not racing in this race. He's working with for JV and Club 100 this weekend. Right, now let's see if we are ready to go then for heat number 6. I suspect some time will have been taken off the race distance here. We'll confirm that in a short moment's time. Rob Langthorpe to the left of your screen, Steph Theodoru to the right. Away we go then for heat number 6.
5 minutes.
5 minutes heats, 5 minute heat then, so 2 minutes knocked off the time for these drivers. So if you're towards the back of the field, you've got to be efficient with your overtakes now. Steph Theodore, who's not had a good start at all, has gone backwards, way backwards from the front row of the grid. Good start for those on the pole side in that inside lane. Much better this time. Bit of grass cutting. One driver around.
Dillon, I think.
Yeah, I think that was Dante Dillon. And it is Dante Dillon. That is a big moment in the context of this day's racing for the lightweights. That's one of our favourites for getting through to the A final and doing well in the A final, Howard. Off at the exit of Spoon.
Yeah, notably there's a contact warning for George Lyon here, who's battling away with Hussein Rashid as they go down through the compressions. Penalty issued for Steph Theodoro, and that
ABC
is for a takeout. So that must have been... he has been attributed with blame there for taking out Dante Dillon there. And not a good start there for Steph. Just was hung out to dry as... And then it all came to blows as Mike Coppin tries to move on Ned Douglas up the hill and makes that one stick.
Yeah,
and I don't think Douglas... No, he wasn't fighting that too much, was he?
Yeah, he's very compliant. Gave the gesture to say, yeah, I know you're there. Come on through. And the reason why I think you may play that tactic if you're Ned Douglas, like Mike Coppin will go forward. If you can keep in his toe, there could be things to be gained from it. You can see him trying to do that, trying to go around the outside of Langthorpe and the 26 there of Sikouskas.
And he's made it work. He's through, and he's already onto the back of, is it Matthew Cockram?
Yep.
He's now on the back of.
So Rihanna Percox leads at the early stage of this race. Stephen Westwood there in second place, continuing his strong form so far this season. Those two just need to work together now. They've got a 1.3 second gap over Cockram behind. Track limit warning for Andrew Ward. Cockram trying to defend from Coppin there. And unfortunately it's not worked because Mike Coppin is through and up to third place.
Yeah, absolutely. Rihanna Percox feeling the need to go defensive here against Stephen Westwood. You can see her taking a shallower line into the carousel. So she's wise to the threat from behind here. But the trouble is that this is going to allow Mike Coppin to pull up onto the back of them fairly quickly, I think, because she's running that slightly compromised line to deter any moves. So I don't think they're going to pull out away here as there's a penalty for George Lyon. And
now that's his second of the day. That is his second of the day for George Lyon, and that is for adjusting the radiator flap, the little flap that you see with the Rotax Evo logo on it. You are not permitted to play with that or move that rad flap in any way, shape or form, as Percox defending hard there from Westwood. So you see how they're all down at the moment, the little red flaps. That will have been, that George Lyon will have adjusted that. And I mean, you do see that in Rotax owner racing.
Yes.
Because maybe some people are going, well, people do that as Coppin goes down the inside of Westwood there. Really nice move by Mike. That was top draw. Really good stuff. people will ask, oh, well, that happens in owner racing all the time, Andrew. Yes, it does. But the point being that these engines are owned by Club 100. They're maintained by Club 100. They are their engines. It's not for the drivers to decide how they want to change the cooling rates and the performance levels of the engines as they choose in the middle of a race. Coppin down the inside of Rihanna Percox. Another really good move by Mike Coppin. He leads here in Heat 6 at GYG.
Yeah, that has been an imperious rise through the order for Mike Coppin over the last few laps. I'm highly impressed with how he's executed those moves, Andrew. And I don't know. I'm not here to stir things. He wasn't happy with that move that was pulled him early in the day, and I think he may have set his sights on. He's a man on a mission for certain here, and he's trying to maximise the points in this heat where he hasn't got any of those immediate championship rivals around him. As he pulls on to the last lap, this has been a very impressive rise up to the head of this one for Mike Coppin. Yeah,
he's fired up today. You can see he's just hopping. That's it. That is Mike himself. That's not a George Russell porpoising thing. That's Mike trying to G up the cart and get the momentum up the road. How effective it's being, I would question. I'll have a chat with him in the paddock about it later. We are on the last lap of the race, though. This shortened 6th heat of the day due to a false start on the first attempt to get it going. How well's Matthew Cockram done here? Yeah. Really strong run there in 4th, as has Stephen Westwood in 3rd. Down through Devil's Elbow for the final time here in this one. The final race of rotation number 2 for the heats. Mike Coppin is going to take a big victory here at GYG. That is what his day needed. He's got the win. This is a very, very strong run from Mike Coppin so far today. Rihanna Percox, as they're not sure, have they seen whether the checkered flags come out?
They don't.
Now they have. Now they're fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Rihanna Percox finishes in 2nd. 3rd for Stephen Westwood. 4th, Matthew Cockram. 5th for Ramanas Chakauskas. 6th for George Lyne, but has a rad flap penalty. 7th for Rob Langthorpe. 8th for Hussein Rashid. 9th, Ned Douglas. 10th, Andrew Ravage. 11th for Steph Theodoru. 12th for Andrew Ward. Not good races at all there for Theodoru or Ward. Kim Ely wins in C3, 13th overall, ahead of Matt Ellis and Adam Britton. Tommy Lee was 16th. Jagjit Singh, Yusuf Sohiono, Dante Dillon and Joe Ratcliffe complete the 20 runners in that field. We're going to move very swiftly on to heat number 7.
Here's your grid then for heat number 7 of our lightweights for round 3. Daz Teal is going to start this one on pole with Charlie Summers alongside Justin Draper and Sam Slater are row 2 with Jake Wilkins and Fraser Brunton on row 3. Ashley White and Amy Breacher are next up with Tom Eastwood and Chris Woodger to round out the top 10. Luke Phillips and Russell Cooper are on row 6. And then it is Dan Seeger and Tim Penny on row 7. Sam Essery and Harrison Kirkham are on row 8. Hakon Lees and Nicholas Lacasas are next, and then it's Dan Grocott and James Scanlon to round out your top 20, to round out the 20 in this 7th heat. We are into the final rotation of heats, everybody. This is for these drivers. This is their last chance to get points in the heats to optimise their position on the grid. 2 more heats after this, but none of these drivers will be in those heats. And we've had every other combination of the top 3 in the championship coming in today. This is the race that has both Daz and Fraser in.
Okay.
Is that combination? We've not had that one yet, I don't believe. So that could be an interesting one to look out for.
Big chance this for Daz Teal to secure a race victory. That's what he'll be aiming for. Ready to go then for 7 minutes in the 7th heat of the day for the lightweights. And away we go. Anti-pole side of the grid have not had a good run there. That was wide from Charlie Summers. Teal will lead as they go up to Spoon Curve for the first time. I'm looking a lot cleaner so far, Howard. This is better.
Yeah, you can sort of see early on as you see that turn-in shot. It sort of tells you what the story might be. And there's a moment there for Chris Woodger at the back, though. And that's round for the 1-2-2 of Hakon Lees as well at the back.
Jump start penalty for Charlie Summers. That was quite a big one, over a 1/10 of a second ahead of Daz Teal as they crossed the start line.
And already Fraser Brunton has got himself up to second place here Andrew. So it is Teal from Brunton with Justin Draper in the 80, holding on to third place nicely there as they come around to finish this first lap.
So I say, quite a few drivers in trouble on that first lap. Dan Seeger was one of them. I saw him cut across the grass to the left. I think Hakon Lees was also involved in the 1-2-2.
Spun round.
James Scanlon's not had a particularly quick first lap either, so not good news for any of those drivers. Fraser Brunton, he really is on form. I've seen him race for a few years, and he's taken a huge step up from last year, and he was pretty good last year. These two had a great fight late on in the final at Bayford Meadows at the back end of the 2021 season. On that day, it was Daz Teal winning ahead of Fraser Brunton. This could get quite tasty, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go anywhere. Don't go make a cup of tea now. This could be one of the heats of the day. Teal holding on to the lead for the moment. And you'd expect at this moment, Howard, the two of them to work together, consolidate first and second for each other, and then fight out for the win in the last lap or so.
Yeah, you would expect that. I'm sure Fraser won't begrudge an opportunity to get by, but for the time being at least, well, I say that looked like a little bit of a look to the inside in a way from Fraser there. But yeah, pull out a bit of a gap and then worry about having the battle or not. Go down the inside at Carousel. And I suppose, to be fair, Ashley White is currently hounding Justin Draper for third place behind. Yeah. So there is a little bit of a relief there for the pressure behind perspective. And Fraser Brunton's done it. He is through and up into the lead of the race. Now, has Daz Teal got the pace to stay with him today? We've seen good pace from both of these drivers. And meanwhile, Justin Draper here doing well to hold position so far against Ashley White. But we know that Ashley's been on the pace today. Won a race on the road, but with a penalty, taking the ultimate race win away earlier today. And I think that's going to tuck underneath there for Ashley. No, the door's closed by Justin there. And that was a lock-up there. Big lock-up for Ashley White into Spoon Corner. And behind them, I think that's Luke Phillips and Jake Wilkins exchanging places through the carousel in a battle over 6th place.
Justin Draper needs to not fight this too hard. That if Ashley White is quicker, it might be okay to let him go, because this is a good opportunity for Draper to get some big points in a heat. It doesn't want to fall back into the clutches of where Charlie Summers and Jake Wilkins and Luke Phillips are. Hello to Mr. Hicks, by the way, Steve Hicks. Hopefully Charlie Summers doesn't barrel roll out of this race like in iRacing. Very much hope so.
I agree with the sentiment of that.
He's doing all right at the moment. P5. Track limit warning for Samuel Essery. The drivers are pushing hard now. One of the best braking zones in the country, if you ask me, going over the top of that hill. It's a corner that rewards the brave. It's very easy to get wrong, though. 3 minutes to go. Brunton leads. 50.2 for Brunton last time around. 50.5 for Teal. Draper 51.0. All three of those times personal bests for each of them. Other position changes to notify you about. Phillips has got past Wilkins. Dan Seeger continuing attempts at a resurgence past Amy Breacher. So 10th now for Seeger.
Slightly surprised that Chris Woodger hasn't been able to make a bit more progress back up on a bit of a recovery drive.
Yeah. Yeah, 51.0 last time around for Woodger. Was less than 0.2 of a second behind Lacassasse.
This is Luke Phillips, who got by on Jake Wilkins a couple of laps ago and is now on the back of Charlie Summers in the battle over 5th place. This is for second highest Class 2 position in the race, the highest runner in that class being this man here, Justin Draper, still defending against Ashley White, judging that he's making the judgment call, at least that he's got the pace at the moment to remain in place and not let Ashley bite. Not that he in any way needs to. He is the highest placed Class 2 runner at the moment, and he keeps the line shallow there in the braking zone for Spoon.
This is good. This is a really good drive from Justin Draper. Just wants to keep this up at the moment. There will be an attack at some point from Ashley Wise, I'm sure of it, because they're not catching up to Brunton and Teal. At the moment, they're just trying to manage the race and keep that gap out to Charlie Summers behind in 5th place. And they're doing so at the moment. It's about 1.8 seconds. It's very much a 2x2 at the moment in the top 6 of the order. Harrison Kirkham's having another strong race here, Howard. It's up to 9th place. New fastest lap of the race for Brunton, 50.177. Bit wide there from White round the final corner. That's going to leave him with some work to do here.
New fastest lap of the race from Fraser Brunton, Andrew, to seal the deal in many ways of 1.1 seconds now to the good over Daz Teal. So
Chris Woodger has got past Lacassasse and Breacher now, so Woodger up to 12th place, and here comes the attack from, that was deep on the brakes, and that's the thing. There's a little drop just as you come down the straight. It's not as pronounced as you see, or more pronounced than you're seeing on the stream, but it's the cart goes light, the weight goes forward, and you can lock a brake there if you're very hard on the brakes like Ashley White. They did very well to not career into the back of the number 80.
Yeah, and it can throw some drivers up. I have to say, I'll be honest, yesterday in the endurance I had a driver behind me who was a lap ahead, and he was one of the leaders, running relatively high up. I gestured them through on the inside into carousel, and they went into a spin. They just didn't judge it right on the inside. There was no contact or anything. But yeah, it is it's a bit of an unusual. It's deceptive. Yeah, it looks simple, and it's not so through that carousel.
Fraser Brunton on his way then to another race victory. Here's the fight for 5th place. Summers in the 54, Phillips in the 153.
Opportunity for Essery as well in the 20 here if he can read it well. But here is Fraser Brunton. He's going to come round and take the win in heat number 7. Setting himself up well for the finals. Daz Teal takes 2nd place. Justin Draper holds on for 3rd against an attacking Ashley White. And likewise, Charlie Summers hangs on for 5th ahead of Luke Phillips and Samuel Essery. Harrison Kirkham staking his claim in Class 3 there, finishing in 8th overall. Jake Wilkins in 9th. Dan Seeger rounding out the top 10. Chris Woodger in the end recovering to 11th ahead of Tim Penny and Amy Breacher. Nicholas Lacassasse, Dan Grocott, James Scanlon, Russell Cooper in 17th, and I think, Hakon Lees, will cross the line now in 18th place, and that's how they finish heat number 7.
Very good stuff. That's all of those drivers done for their heats. We'll see them out again in the finals. We're going to get ready then for heat number 8. That's out next. Let's have a look then at the grid for the penultimate heat of the day here at GYG. Yusuf Bin Sahel has pole position. Reece Clary joins him on the front row. Mike Coppin having a very good day so far, 2nd and 1st in his heat results so far. Starts this one from row 2. Dom Cliff is alongside of their P4 on the grid. Jeremy Deeks and Andrew Rabbage are next up on the 3rd row of the grid. We then find Stephen Westwood and Rob Langthorpe on row 4. Steph Theodoru and Brianna Percox start on the 5th row of the grid. Ed Bars needs a big result here. It has not been a good day so far for Ed Bars. He's on the 6th row alongside the home favourite, Bryn Alban. 7th row of the grid, we find Joe Bailey and Callum Martin. Ben Lambeth and Andy Berry start on row 8. Joe Ratcliffe also needs a good result here. Was disqualified from the previous heat for being underweight. Matt Cliff is on row 9. Livia Ojo and Yusuf Sohoyono are there on row 10. Matt Ellis and Zach Stouts complete things on row 11.
Just trying to work out if this will be Ed Bars.
It will be Ed Bars. I think it is. Yeah, he's had a heat win. And a very not heat win, was down in around 12th or 13th place. So needs a decent result here to get into the A final.
The smart money here would be on Mike Coppin. It's his highest grid position of the heats, and we've seen him really being on a mission here today. Fraser Brunton just taking a heat win now. Mike would dearly like to match that result, but there's 21 other drivers who would like it to go differently. So we shall see how this plays out. As you say, mate, Ed Bars as well needs a good one, a good race here. let's see how they get on then. Penultimate heat race, last heat for all of these drivers. Yusuf Bin Sahel will lead them away. Mike Coppin is going to try and do a charge from second place. I think he might have timed that perfectly, you know. He's going to have a good run up the hill. We've seen this executed several times successfully today, both in heavyweights and lightweights, but he's going to be a little bit wanting, I think, on the outside there, unless he can find the gap on the inside, which he can't, as they all come in. Rob Langthorpe versus Steph Theodorou versus Ed Bars in the mid-pat there, and I don't think it's worked for... Oh, and there's drivers off towards the back as well. We'll have to update on who that is, as there's a change for the lead there. Mike Coppin has got through now on Yusuf Bin Sahel, and that's round. And oh my goodness me, that's the 52 of Jeremy Deeks round. I think he was actually spun out well off to driver's left in the end there, but from that camera angle, that was a bit scary to watch.
Yeah, that's the little berm on the exit of Carousel, which I've seen quite a few drivers struggling with over the past 2 weekends.
Yeah,
and it's again, it's one of these very sharp drop-offs, and then the grass runoff also slopes away from the height of the circuit. So everyone did very, very well there to avoid the spinning Jeremy Deeks. There's also confirmed problems for Stout and Ojo.
Indeed.
They, I assume, were our two spinners up at the top of the hill there on lap 1. So Mike Coppin leading. Rihanna Percox down the inside of Steph Theodorou for 5th place.
Yep.
Andrew Rabbage just behind there in the black and red suit with the blue and white hooped helmet.
And Rob Langthorpe through on Bryn Alban there, which I think he's taking a position back off of Alban, because that's not where Alban started the lap. This is Dom Cliff versus Stephen Westwood over 3rd place.
Alway track limits. That was quite wide from Dom Cliff there and all over the scissor curb. It's quite rough out there. Looks like Westwood is down the inside and he's got the move done. Here comes Rihanna Percox. And in fact, is there a problem for the number 17? Hand was in the air.
Yep. And there's no yellow flag that I could see.
I didn't see a yellow flag either. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what happened there with Dom Cliff.
Unless there was contact maybe in the braking zone. He just wanted to raise his hand in apology. I'm not sure. And Ed Bars is getting through. So, I think Dom Cliff might have an issue there. And the 30 now of Ben Lambeth is having a go at him. So I wonder if we might see him pull into the pits here.
I think that big run across the curb might have sent the highly technical term has sent something a little bit awry. Because something's not right with that, but it had just had a big bump. Andrew Rabbage down the inside. That's a bold move from Andrew Rabbage. We like that a lot. And has got past Steph Theodorou for 5th place. Ed Bars is now on the scene. Cannot afford any issues in this race, I feel. This has been a hard season so far for Ed Bars. Needs to pick his moment. He's still got plenty of time in this race. Best part of 4 minutes to go. There was a track limit warning, just to confirm, for Dom Cliff and Matt Ellis as well.
Yusuf Bin Sahel is impressing me today, Andrew. I've got to say it. He's there in 2nd place, and he's on pace. You know, he's having a good series of heats here. Is Yusuf? It'll be interesting to see how that continues into our finals. This heat race and one more, and then we will be calculating the grids. As there's Steph Theodorou down the inside of Andrew Rabbage, taking the position back that he lost a lap ago, and Ed Bars in the number 2 takes the opportunity to follow through as well on Rabbage there. So that is Theodorou up to 5th, Ed Bars up to 6th.
That was just really well read by Ed Bars there. Saw that Steph was going for the move. Kept things under control. Didn't absolutely sling the kart in there. Didn't need to. Just pick the line. Get through that gap that was made by the number 85. Fastest lap of the race has just gone in from our race leader. 50.347 from Mike Coppin. That's just been snatched away there by Stephen Westwood. I think another really good run here is Westwood. 50.247 for the driver in the 31 in 3rd place.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, something's happened to Rob Langthorpe on that last lap. He's dropped well down the order. From 10th place, he's down to 15th.
Good work between Theodorou and Bars. They've caught up to Rihanna Percox. So So she's got a lot of work to do here to close up to Stephen Westwood. Hopefully this three can work together.
Who in turn, by the way, Andrew, is really reeling in the gap now to Binta Hale for second place. That's gone down by half a second on the last lap. And I think just visually you can see he's closed up even more. Here they are. Binta Hale in the 116 and Stephen Westwood in that number 31. And then here is the battle for fourth place of Percox, Theodorou and Bars.
I think there may be a move coming in from Steph Theodorou because the gap is not closing with this trio trying to close down the duo of Sahale and Westwood ahead.
Percox is very tight on the line into Spoon Corner. She knows what to do to defend around here. And there is Westwood down the inside of Bin Sahale for second place. And a nicely done move there.
That's a properly good move.
Yeah.
I rate that a lot from Stephen West because we've been talking about the entry into Carousel a lot. As Binta Hale's fighting back. Well, I rate that as well. That's a good spirited drive here from Yusuf Binta Hale. I'd say the crucial thing about the entry to Carousel is setting the kart right and keeping it balanced. Not really for the corner entry, but for corner exit.
Yes.
It's so easy to push out. I'm going to barrel in here. It's going to be great. As Yusuf Binta Hale retakes second place.
Which way is Westwood going to go? He was switching either way. As meanwhile, Steph Theodorou is trying to go up the inside of Rihanna Percox. And he's got that job done. Has Ed Barr's got an opportunity? Westwood is having to get creative here. He's trying to sell the dummy. And they go any which way here. But I agree, mate. I mean, we saw from Jeremy Deeks early on in this race how he's gone to the inside here into the compressions, but Bin Sahale will come back at him, and his arms are off.
This is
fantastic racing here through Devil's Elbow. There's a penalty for Theodorou for bump and pass. Presumably, that's judged on his move on Percox at the start of this lap, as Mike Coppin, incidentally, is on the last lap. But who's going to take second place? This is a highly entertaining battle here between two of our Class 2 drivers.
Stephen Westwood trying to get in the slipstream again. I think he'll try and set one up for Carousel. That seems to be where he is strong. He's having a look up the inside, going for it up the inside. Can he get it stopped? Now he's got to get this run down the hill correct, because here come the others. He's going to go defensive now. It's getting very, very tight here. Ed Bars is in it as well. Any of these could finish in second place. It's all good news for Mike Coppin. He's gone. He's got the race won. But Stephen Westwood, defending now, has put in some brilliant overtakes so far. Is there going to be an opening there for Yusuf Binta Hale as they come down into Devil's Elbow for the final time? This will be a really good result for both drivers if they can get to the finish line. Steph Theodorou is still there as well. Here we go. Mike Coppin has taken the race win. Stephen Westwood take a bow. Proper good second place there from Stephen Westwood. Yusuf Binta Hale is third. Steph Theodorou fourth on the road but has a penalty. So Rihanna Percox will be promoted to fourth. Ed Bars is fifth. Andrew Rabbage in seventh. Ben Lambeth in eighth. All of those four drivers will all move up. Steph Theodorou will slot in eighth place. Dom Cliff in ninth. Callum Martin completes the top 10. Bryn Albin in 11th. Matt Ellis was the top C3 driver in that particular race. So the man third in points in C3 at the start of the day. That's a good result for Matt in the number 70. Joe Bailey next in 13th. Andy Berry 14th. Rob Langthorpe, not a good race for Rob Langthorpe at all there in 15th. Ahead of Matt Cliff, Joe Ratcliffe, Jeremy Deeks, Zach Stout, Yusuf Sohoyono and Livia Ojo.
Right, that was heat number 8. We have one more heat rate left of the day ahead of these trophy finals. Heat number 9 is coming right up for you here at GYG. Here's your grid then for heat number 9. We've seen some really good overtakes from Garrett Berry today, but if he does the optimum race this time, we won't see any. He's on pole for this one, with Dante Dillon looking for a better third heat after a dramatic second one earlier on. Keith Segal and George Lyne are row number 2. David Hamer and Reese Pope are on row number 3. Row 4 is Greg Smith and Martin Joyce, Dean Everest and Hussein Rashid to round out the top 10. Ramanas Chakauskas and Ned Douglas are row 6. And then it's going to be Matthew Cockram and Andrew Ward on row 7. Kim Ely and James Browning on 8. Adam Britton and Harris Ahmed on row number 9. With Jagjeet Singh, Tommy Lee and Evan Craig rounding out the 21 car grid. That's how they line up then for this final heat. Last chance for these drivers to optimise their grid position for the trophy finals. They'd love to all be in the A final. They can't all be. And there will be a slight pause just whilst also all those grids are calculated at the end of this one. And we go into the longer races as well, we should say. These heats have all been 7 minutes, unless there's been a false start, in which case a couple of minutes have been knocked off. 12 minutes it will be for our trophy races, finals races that we go into after this. Sorry, I thought, was there a stat there from the stat book?
No,
Pages turned to the stat book, I came to a cadence. Garrett Berry will lead them out onto track in the number 22. And this is going to be an interesting one, actually, Andrew. I think there's a few drivers in here who, Garrett Berry's been driving well today. We've seen Greg Smith take a heat win. I feel like this is quite a... I'm just trying to recognise how many Class 1 drivers we've got in this. So we've got Andrew Ward in this one. Reese Pope is in this one. I think that's it for Class 1 runners.
A quick public service announcement for those interested. Next round of these championships, there'll be Clay Pigeon on the weekend of the 25th and 26th of June. Head across to www.club100.co.uk for all the details if you want to enter future rounds. What I will say, though, not a lot, if any, spaces at all. But always worth an inquiry if you've watched the action here today and want to get involved.
Yeah, and it's, if you're looking at doing this, I don't know.
Book a test session?
Book a test session. Are you planning to maybe do a campaign in 2023? Get on the socials, get interacting with people, lots of questions that you might have for getting started in Club 100. There is a community there that you can interact with and start paving the way for that. Here we go then for heat number 9. Garrett Berry will lead them away. Dante Dillon in second place as they head up the hill. It looks like George Line has got the better of Keith Segal. There's some rubbing with the tyre smoke there coming off there at the rear of the field as they all head round there for the first time. Greg Smith jinks wide, and is that someone on the grass as a result there? That looked like the 24 onto the grass as we've got a driver around. So David Hamer it was who was on the grass but has kept going, and I didn't quite catch the number of who's spun there.
Yeah,
we'll
apologies,
have to look at the end of the lap. But it's Garrett Berry versus Dante Dillon still at the front as they come out the carousel and towards the compression section. Greg Smith leads Andrew Ward and Ned Douglas, and Dante Dillon here trying to find a way through, and he's going to open the door to George Line, and Dante Dillon is off on the grass off the back of that contact with George Line, and he's going to try and resume where he was, and he'll feel he feels a bit aggrieved, no doubt, but what that's done is given a gift to Garrett Berry at the end of this lap because it's given him several kart lengths to play with at the front of the field. Some
jurisdictions to tell you about. Greg Smith has got a forced driver wide penalty for forcing a driver wide in the number 23. So that'll be some positions down for him. Contact warning has been given to George Lee.
As Reese Pope is through on George Line for second place through Spoon Curve. Has Line got a counter-attack for Carousel? I don't think he has. Ned Douglas now down the inside of Keith Segal. Can he judge that right? Yes, he can, and without making contact with Andrew Ward's kart just ahead of him, which was a gap that was closing for him to slot into. So nicely judged there by Ned Douglas.
Kim Healy, if we hadn't mentioned already, was the spinner at on the first lap. So unfortunately, Kim is down in 21st position in kart number 33. Penalty for Reese Pope.
Okay.
Bump and pass.
So that might have been, he went by on George Line in that lap. I think we caught the end of it, though. I'm not sure we can call it either way from what we saw, which is good, because that's not our job. Greg Smith defending against Andrew Ward and Ned Douglas, I could see there up the hill as George Line is now back with Dante Dillon. Now, these two, in fact, Dante Dillon's read that really well. He's back up to second place there all of a sudden. So he's through.
Because Garrett Berry's off the front of this group, isn't he?
Yes. Yes, sorry. Understood. Yes, Reese Pope there with the penalty now for Chikauskas for a bump and pass as well. One might imagine that's for a pass on Matthew Cockram last lap. So yeah, Garrett Berry leads, Reese Pope 1 second back. Then it's Dante Dillon and George Line. Martin Joyce in 5th place. I feel he's having consistent results, quite consistent results is Martin Joyce today.
Yeah.
I feel like, Not mentioning too much. This battle's still going on. Now led by Joyce. Hussein Rashid in the 71. Greg Smith in the 23. Has just pulled away a little bit from Ned Douglas and Andrew Ward here. As we've still got half of this heat to go. Through the compressions now. Douglas and Ward closing up a little bit more back onto the back of Greg Smith again. So this could become a 5-kart battle over 5th place, led by the 21 of Martin Joyce. New fastest lap of the race from Reese Pope at 50.6. He would very much like to get up and onto the back of Garrett Berry, but remember that Reese Pope is carrying that 4th-place position penalty to be applied at the end of the race for a bump and pass. As again, keeping the line tight is Martin Joyce, but Ned Douglas has gone for it on Greg Smith there, and Smith doesn't seem too happy. What I saw of that looked firm but fair.
Yeah, I didn't see much wrong with Ned's line there. It's one that if you're in that position, the door is going to close on you inevitably.
Yeah. Andrew Ward's got by now as well. So that is Greg Smith down to 9th place for him.
3 minutes to go. A lot to play for, I feel, in this race. You know, drivers that are maybe on the cusp of getting from B to A final. Need to get those good results in. Fastest lap at the moment is Dante Dillon's 50.466. So we closed in a 10th and a half on Reese Pope on that last lap.
I think Rashid's realised he's got to get creative here if he's going to find a way through on Joyce, but he's got to be careful because if he opens the door to try and get the switchback, for example, out of here, he'll just open it for Ned Douglas, who we've already seen is not too scared of putting a move on down the inside there. So this is going to be a difficult one, to be honest. It's going to be a difficult one as well. You know, if Andrew Ward's wanting to, as a Class 1 runner, try and optimise points, this is a difficult field to pick his way through at the moment, because Martin Joyce has locked in. He's decided he wants to, well, I say that, he's not really hindering his pace, but he's just taking those tighter lines that just deter the moves in the key places. As there's another fastest lap of 50.3 from Reese Pope. He has a lot of good pace here. He can negate one position to be docked at the end of the race by taking the lead of the race. And Ned Douglas there trying to get the switchback through the turn-in. Can he open the door? Yes, he can on Hussein Rashid. And that was nicely judged by Ned Douglas there. And again, I think that's firm but fair by and large from my book.
Rashid was trying a bit of a move on Joyce ahead, and it's exactly as he called it, Howard, that he needed to be careful to not open the door for Ned Douglas. And Ned just held that inside line. So, yeah, I'd agree with that. Good stuff from Ned Douglas. I was just going to say, though, the dynamic at the front of the order has just changed, because that lap going in from Reese Pope, I think he's responded to the pace from Dante Dillon behind. This is properly on now at the front of the field. Dillon has now responded. He's now in the 50.3s. Berry has responded as well. He's down into the 50.4s, his fastest lap so far in this race. We've got a proper scrap here at the front. 2 laps to go.
And if you're George Line, that's a bit of a present as well, because he's having a fairly quiet time of it in 4th right now. But this could come back to him. And I think he could do with a good result, could George, because he's had a few dramas today through his heats. He was off in the first heat at the top of the hill, I want to say.
Adam Britton, if we've not mentioned already, has had a bump and pass penalty. He is at the moment, though, the top C3 runner in 10th place. There'll be a little bit of time on the clock as these drivers come round the final corner, so they'll get 9 laps in. But look at Reese Pope. He is right there now. 50.182, one of the fastest laps that we've seen today.
Yep, and cannot win the race outright, remember. Got the bump and pass penalty, but because it's a position penalty, it's still very much to his benefit to get by here. But going tight there is Garrett Berry. We've seen he's been good at passing today. He seems to also have a knack for defending around here as well. He'll stay tight here into Carousel. And unless Pope can tuck underneath or maybe find a way through here into the compressions. But again, Garrett's going to go tight. And I don't think Pope will have the overspeed here as they work their way down through. Oh, I thought Dante Dillon was going to have a look there. But it's been good defence here from Garrett Berry. And he's going to round the final corner now and take the win in heat number 9. Reese Pope finishes second but has that 4th-place penalty to be applied. Dillon in 3rd. George Line in 4th. Then Martin Joyce is going to hang on just about, although Rashid and Ward both got by on Ned Douglas in that last lap. So it's Joyce, Rashid, Ward and Douglas. Greg Smith in 9th place. Adam Britton in 10th, but with a bump and pass penalty to be applied. Jakauskas in 11th, and it's Dean Everest. Jagjit Singh, who I think will net be the highest Class 3 finisher because of the penalty for Adam Britton. Harris Ahmed in 14th, 15th for Tommy Lee. Matthew Cockram next in 16th. Then it was David Hamer, James Browning, Evan Craig, Keith Segal in 20th place, and Kim Ely to round out the 21 finishers of heat number 9 of round 3 of the 2022 Club 100 Senior Lightweight Sprint Championship. Coming to you courtesy of Alpha Live with commentary from Double Dash Motorsport Media. And things are just going to calm down for a moment here at the circuit whilst everyone calculates the grids for the trophy finals, which are coming up next for you here at the circuit. Here at Glan-Y-Gors, then, we are looking ahead to our trophy finals for round 3 of the lightweights. Here's your grid for the C final. Hakon-Lees will take this one from pole, which, there was a spin on incident on the first lap of the last heat. So on such moments do these things turn, and he's on pole, but he's in that C final, so he'll be looking to get through, one would have thought. Andy Berry is alongside him. Jeremy Deeks and Nicholas Lacasas are on row 2. Callum Martin and James Scanlon are next up. Then it's Matthew Cliff and James Browning on row number 4. Zach Stout and Yusuf Sahayono are on the 5th row. Keith Segal and Evan Craig are on row 6. Row 7 is going to be Sam Slater and Tom Eastwood. Livia Ojo and Reese Clary are row 8. And then it's Joe Radcliffe on row 9 in 17th place. That's how they line up for the C final. And there are 4, I will remind you, 4 promotion spots available for these drivers. But as we always say, this is where it gets interesting from a tactical point of view. You need to think carefully about those golden tickets, the top 4 places, and many of these drivers are Class 3 drivers, which means the experience is less so than those in the other classes. So will they all have their heads screwed on straight for the promotion, or will they be going for glory with the win?
And keeping it clean as well. We saw
Yes.
Earlier on this afternoon, not quite in the morning, but in the early session where we had the heavyweights, we had a top 4. We had a top 4 that was well clear of the rest of the field, but one of them having a penalty that meant that driver in that situation did not end up in the top 4 that went through to the B final. And there was a lucky recipient in 5th place on the road that got a free race out of things. Keep the comments coming in. Hello to Zombie. Says hello in the chat. And on the DDMM feed as well of Commons Box Cam. There is a voice, but no Howard. Oh, okay, is that now?
Oh, sorry. No, that's because I'm off shot. Hello.
Ah.
That's what they
there
mean.
it is.
I was reading the grid, but off camera. That's what that was reference to.
For a second. Couple of things
I'm under the
to let you know about. So we've talked about the cadets and juniors at Buckmore Park on the 21st of May. That is a Saturday. I just feel like I need to reiterate this because someone's going to come in and go, "What? You didn't tell me this?" It's a Saturday, which is not normally when we stream, obviously, for a Club 100 stream day. So I think I've told you enough about that now. Other Club 100 related things to tell you about the following week. On the 25th of May, over on the DDMM channel. I should say, actually, the week of the 25th. There won't be a live stream for the next round of Club 100 iRacing, but there will be a subsequent video for it.
Yes.
That is at least extended highlights. If they all behave themselves, will be a full race replay. But we're in race director mode, aren't we? Which one's Niels Vittich and which one's Eduardo Freitas?
I don't like to say. I leave that for others to decide.
But yeah, we've got that coming up. And if you are an iRacing and a racer in Club 100 or BUKC, past or present, do get involved in that. More rounds of Super 1 as well coming up in the combined efforts of Alpha Live and DDMM for you. Next round for them is Clay Pigeon at, or just at the end of May, first weekend of June, I should say. But here we go, ready for the C final. It's all about getting in that top 4 and getting through into the B final. 12 minutes on the clock here at Glan-Y-Gors. Away we go for the C final in the lightweights. Good start for Hakon-Lees at the front of the field, but it's running a little bit wide through turn number 1 on the run up to the first braking zone of Spoon Curve. And I think it's Jeremy Deeks who's got through in the number 52 at the front of the order.
And he's going to go for the lead here into the corner if he can find a way through. They are side by side at the apex. I think that may have gone the way, that has gone the way of Callum Martin. Actually, it was the 32, not the 52, who's managed to find a way through there at Spoon Curve and gets to the head of the field as they work their way through. But I'm delighted to say, if I can manage it, that was a remarkably clean start there as they came over the crest of the hill for our Class 3 runners, although that was a suboptimal moment there for James Scanlon in the 115.
Yeah, there's been quite a few position changes at this start. I don't think that the even side of the grid got a particularly good one, but it's Martin from Lacassas, Deeks, Berry.
Ooh.
If the race was to stop now, that would be your 1, 2, 3, 4 through into the B final.
Wide moment there for Lees, our pole sitter, now immediately under pressure from James Browning in the number 43. As that's another sideways moment there for James Scanlon, although that was more of a graceful drift than the previous one.
The number 83 coming through there, that's Matthew Cliff. So Matthew Cliff's on the move here in the early stages of this race. 10.5 minutes to go. Field sweeping down the hill now. Let's count them through as they come to the end of the second lap here at GYG. Big thanks to all the team here at GYG who've not just taken care of us here at Alpha Live and DDMM and Club 100 for the last week, but the week before that as well. And it's a problem for Hakon Lees because he's run wide again there through turn number 1, and everybody's having a go at the inside, including Keith Segal. Keith Segal's on the move here. Had an entertaining C final at Buckmore Park, I seem to remember. Lees just seems to be struggling, I feel, here on the brakes. I don't know whether there is differences that you find as you get more experience in these Club 100 karts. All very evenly matched on pace, but you have to be flexible as a driver to get the best out of each kart. And we found it yesterday that we had a second kart that braked slightly differently, turned in slightly differently to the one that we'd had before. I just think Lees is struggling to get on top on this particular kart that he's got.
Yep, it can come and go in terms of how you feel in the kart. This is the lead battle, we should say. Lacassas pursuing Callum Martin, and this is the difficult one. Because what you don't want is for this to end in tears.
Yes.
But if you're Nicholas Lacassas and you're, say, I don't know, pursuing your first ever race victory in Club 100 machinery, there's the temptation to go for it. And maybe you can do that cleanly, maybe you can't. But the key thing here is that you still both want to finish in the top 4. And speaking of which, that is Andy Berry getting by on Jeremy Deeks over 3rd place. So putting himself in a better position there, and it puts Deeks on the bubble and under attack from James Scanlon.
Does indeed. It's very tight in that battle for 3rd downwards, and here it is. This is the key area on circuit. Can James Scanlon find a way through? Track limit warning for Lees.
I'll say this. A lot of Class 3 runners in this field.
Yeah.
Not a single penalty so far.
No.
And
No,
we are
very
nearly a
good so
third of the
far.
way through the race. So, fair play to those drivers.
Contact warning for James Scanlon.
Now don't undo what I did.
black suit, white arms, and the white helmet as well. Just trying to find a way through. Oh, someone's hit a cone there because that's not
Howard
his correct
said
orientation.
Howard said there'd been no penalties, so obviously someone's going to hit a go. But yeah, I mean, this is the thing. If you're Scanlon, you do want to push at this point. You're fighting for the last promotion spot here, as Lees has another track limit warning. It's a weird one, this, Andrew. You were saying how he seems to be struggling with the kart a bit, is Hakon Lees, and he's getting these track limit warnings because he's running wide. So, a little bit unusual there, but this is the key battle on track right now. Who can bag their last ticket into the B final? And trying to find a way through on the inside. James Scanlon is not leaving things wanting on giving this a try, but he can't find a way by so far.
That was well defended by Deeks, just to hold the outside line. Don't give Scanlon too much room there. You know, don't give him too much respect. You're fighting for a spot in the B final here. But you know, he could have chopped down, turned across him, had an incident. All arms in the air and all of that business. But no, he just nicely held the line there that compromised what Scanlon was trying to do. And look, it's just giving him a bit of a gap now, a bit of breathing space. Maybe trying to get his head down and focus on catching up to Andy Berry. Yeah, you've got to think now it's going to be 2 from these 3 because the gap back to Matthew Cliff behind is 4.2 seconds. I think the likes of Cliff and Browning and Segal, they are fighting for points and fighting for pride. Now they're not going to go further than this C final unless something interesting happens in this squabble here. This is
yes.
Yep, and here it is. This is all the way down from 6th. Keith Segal down the inside of James Browning there.
Or trying to. Couldn't make it stick. That is the 114 of Zach Stout, who's made some moves this lap.
Yes.
Because he's now ahead of the 122 of Hack on Lees.
Yep.
And Segal here against Sohajono. That was frustration across the line there. I've not actually seen any penalties come up.
I think that was for running wide onto
just frustration. Yeah.
'Cause not only does it risk damaging the carts, it's definitely not quicker either.
No.
You lose your momentum.
And indeed,
speed.
Yeah.
Oh,
and that was an unforced error there. That is round for Zach Stout, and you can see the frustration there. And I think, Andrew, that might have just been a case of mistakes compounding upon mistakes and causing you to get increasingly frustrated, and you can start to stiffen up and become more staccato in your movements and all sorts that can lead to things running away from you.
And I think a bit of panic as well. I can imagine what's happened there. He's just come over the brow of the hill, got on the brakes a little bit too late. The back end stepped out. A driver with lesser experience might not be able to know what's going on there. It's like, actually just back off the brakes a little bit, let the cart. And we're talking minute seconds here. It's down the inside. Deeks, or holding to the inside, sorry, this is defending from Scanlon. Scanlon's going to try and get it has a little bit of a gesture there, but Deeks has his right to defend. You know, as I say, I've had some moments like that over the past couple of days where the back end starts to try to overtake the front end. You're hard on the brakes, just back off a little bit, let the cart realign, and then get back on the brakes again once you're back in a straight line. You know, that's not something that comes naturally to all drivers. It definitely didn't come naturally to me when I first started piloting these karts. James Scanlon, though, still trying to find a way past Jeremy Deeks. Jeremy Deeks a bit isolated now, though. Hasn't got Andy Berry ahead of him and hasn't got that toe.
We're just talking about how you can sort of stiffen up and drive differently if you're starting to make mistakes. The other thing is pressure. Jeremy Deeks so far doing a really good job of absorbing this pressure and just focusing on where to position his kart. From a little bit of experience, like when you are on for a good result, it's so easy, particularly in a situation like this where you've got a podium or a promotion spot in the offing.
Yeah,
it's so easy to start to stiffen up, to become paranoid. Your mind wanders a little bit about what the other driver's doing, or you become too focused on, I can hear the engine off to my right now. It's so easy to make mistakes when you are under this kind of pressure, and so far Jeremy Deeks is doing a very good job of absorbing that pressure. Callum Martin, we should say, 4.7 seconds to the good out front, as now it's a very wide line that Scanlon is going to try to get the switch back here onto the Snowdon Straight and try and set up an opportunity into Carousel, but Deeks, as he has been doing for a number of laps now, holds the inside. Doing a good job here. But yeah, Lacasas is some 4.7 seconds back, but it is himself from Callum Martin at the head of the field. But Lacasas himself has 2 seconds in hand over Andy Berry, who has 2.2 seconds in hand over these two battling away. And then here comes the battle of, it feels like everybody else. Matthew Cliff has been leading this one for a number of laps now over James Browning and Keith Segal, who's been working his way up steadily through the C final, to be fair, for Keith Segal, one of the most experienced drivers in the field, but he's not had the most competitive outing we've seen from him in the heat sprint, so we're just seeing how far he can get on up this order. I mean, it will take something extraordinary now for him to be in the pound seats for getting promotion. New fastest lap of the race from Callum Martin, a 50.819, as we cut back to this battle over the final promotion spot, the 4th place battle between Deeks and Scanlon.
Yeah, that's still the key one here. Got to keep your concentration up, though, if you're either of Callum Martin, Nicholas Lacasas and Andy Berry. Out there on their own, but could easily get something wrong. Here's the battle for 4th place, the final spot in the B final. It's a good run this time for Scanlon. He's going to be pushing Deeks up the hill. Deeks will show him to the outside, though. Scanlon doesn't have the pace to go around the outside. This is good defence from Jeremy Deeks at the moment. Scanlon will try and get underneath, but no, there's no way through at the moment. And they continue this status quo at the moment. Deeks there in 4th, Scanlon in 5th. And all you've got to feel is I don't know whether Scanlon can be a little bit braver on the brakes and stick. Oh, now he's made a mistake. See, now he's overdriving.
This is the desperation starting to set in here for Scanlon, because it's going to be a bit of a painful drive home, I think, if you leave anything on the table in trying to take this spot.
On pure pace, Scanlon is quicker. I think that is quite key to quite clear to see. But Deeks is driving so well and so consistently, not making any mistakes. Scanlon simply cannot find a way through. Final lap board has been shown to these drivers. Callum Martin still leads by 6.5 seconds. Around the outside is looking Scanlon. I think he's got to stick a nose up the inside, or at least show a nose up the inside into this next corner. He's not close enough. Nope. He's not close enough to Jeremy Deeks through here. Jeremy Deeks can start to breathe. There's a back marker there who gets well out of the way. That's good driving from Olivier Ojo. Callum Martin takes the win in the C final. Nicholas Lacazette is through. Andy Berry 3rd. 4th is going to be on the line. Very well driven by Jeremy Deeks. Had to fight for that one, had to keep the concentration up, but is rewarded with a B final spot. Rest of them coming through the field and over the line now. James Scanlon finishes 5th. Matthew Cliff 6th. James Browning 7th. Keith Segal 8th. Hakon Lees. Good recovery, actually. That was a really tough first half of the race for Hakon Lees, but gets 9th there in the C. Joe Ratcliffe 10th. Evan Craig 11th. Zach Stout 12th. Yusuf Seriono in 13th, and Olivier Ojo a lap down in 14th.
I don't know what happened to Seriono there. Lost a few positions on last lap, so I wonder if that battle, which had been raging all race, came to blows at all. So there might be some post-race penalties further down the order there, but a good C final. Good battle for that last promotion spot. It is a case of commiserations, I think, to James Scanlon, because that was a good, earnest effort. And, you could tell that he had keen on his mind, if I make this move, this has to be clean. Yeah. This has to be, you can't throw it away on a penalty. And Jeremy just positioned his car very well there. So, very impressive stuff. The top 4 of Callum Martin, Nicholas Lacasas and Andy Berry and Jeremy Deeks we expect to see in a moment's time on the back of the grid for our B final, which is coming up next.
Let's have a look then through the grid for the B final here for round 3 of the 2022 Club 100 Lightweight Sprints Championships. Ramanats Chikauskas has pole position and will be looking to hold that position to get through to the A final. Ned Douglas likewise on the front row. Only 2 spots through to the A final here from a B, so all of these drivers are looking to take one of those 2 spots. Andrew Rabbage and George Line are on the 2nd row of the grid. Amy Breacher and Charlie Summers on the 3rd row of the grid. Rob Langthorpe and David Hamer on row 4. Justin Draper and Dom Cliff on row 5. Jake Wilkins and Russell Cooper start on row 6. Steph Theodoru and Matt Ellis start there on row 7. Dean Everest and Harris Ahmed on row 8. Adam Britton and Jagjit Singh on the 9th row of the grid. And then we find Joe Bailey and Kim Ely on row 10. Tommy Lee and Dan Grokut on row number 12. And we'll have confirmed in a moment. There it is on our screens here in the box. Callum Martin and Nicholas Lacazette on the 12th row of the grid. Andy Berry and Jeremy Deeks completing the 26 carts in this field for the B final.
I would like to submit my entry for closest ever margin to decide whether you're in the A or the B final. Because Ramanas has 65 points across the heats.
Okay.
And a fastest lap time of a 50.650. Luke Phillips is on the back of the A final grid with exactly the same number of points at a 50.6 .649. It is 1/1000th of a second has determined that Chikauskas is in the B final and not the A final.
Wow.
So I'm going to submit that that's the closest because
that's the
you can't get closer. You can't get closer. So if you're Ramanas, he probably hasn't clocked that particular detail.
No.
If you're Ramanas, there's a sort of you should be hoping to get through.
Yes.
You really should hope to get through because on such fine margins, that I think would be a bit galling.
The other one to point out as well, I know he's learnt the lesson now, don't touch that rad flap, but George Line now on the second row of the grid, had he not had those rad flap penalties, would have been in the A final right now.
Yes.
So I think he'll be looking for a clean run through here.
So yeah, 4 drivers tied on 65 points. 2 of them got into the A final, 2 of them are in the B final. So just goes to show how close everything is over the heats, and when you see the drivers battling frenetically over positions in those heats, that's why it all comes down to extremely fine margins. And as Andrew says, George Line without those penalties, starting 4th in this one, would also have been safely into that A final. There may be other penalties that have come to bear on this one to put people down on this B final grid, but the long and short of it is it's all now about who can get the top 2 spots in this one and get promoted onto the A final grid, and indeed, for those who don't, can they optimise their points? How much can they come away from today with? We are into rolling up laps here. Rob Langthorpe, the only Class 1 driver in this field. We know he's had a difficult day of it in some of these heats. So he's definitely a driver in the number 58 there, the only red-plated driver in the field. On balance, he would very much hope to get through to that A final. Here we go, though. The 26 is Ramanas Chikauskas. Ned Douglas is in the number 19 alongside. How's this one going to play out? The B final is away. And it's a bold start from Andrew Rabbage, but from 3rd place. But it's allowed Amy Breach to go through. She's going to try and go through, but she's on the grass there as the gap is closed on her there as they run up the hill. And Ned Douglas is going to make contact in the middle. And this is going to be a mess at the top of the hill. There's going to be several carts off there. And do you know what? That's a much cleaner shot we cut to than I was expecting there from that one, because that looked scruffy out of all of that. And I think George Line has managed to get to 2nd place out of all of that. And Ramanas, now Ned Douglas is off again there. Wheels on the grass, and that's caused Justin Draper to have a moment of it in the number 80 as well. There's a curb warning for Ned Douglas. I'm not too surprised because he launched off of the curb at the turning point at the top of the hill. And that's a moment as well for the 51 who's got damage. So that's Adam Britton, whose race has ended before it began, I think, because I think he's... No, he is battling for position. My mistake. Okay, so that was a frenetic start to that one, and I am honestly... I'm surprised but sort of impressed that everyone's still running, to be honest, after what we saw at the top of the hill there. George Line, though, is going for the lead of the race here, if he can at all find it, on Chikauskas. If you're Ramanas, you just want to control this one. You do not want to be falling into 2nd place. But George Line, we've seen, has been quite aggressive today, and he's gone through. And Chikauskas was out wide there. I didn't see too much contact there through that. But Ramanas was raising his arm there aloft to sort of say, wait, what are you going to do? This guy's put in contact. That one didn't look too bad to me. But either way, we'll see what the clerk of the course makes of it. It's for them to judge, not me. But George Line is to the head of the field. Don Cliff in 2nd and Rob Langthorpe up to 3rd with Ramanas Chikauskas down to 4th place. Yeah, some big moments already in this one, as there's a penalty for Adam Britton for omitting part of the circuit.
Ooh,
so that's why we saw him on the way down the hill I think, so much kicked off at the top of the hill that he just elected to go on the cut through, and that is going to be a 1 lap deducted, basically, because he's deemed to have cut, as they'd say on Wacky Races, he's taken a sneaky shortcut. And, as Ned Douglas is fighting back here through on Steph Theodorou, he has really got the bit between his teeth here and is trying to take this one by the scruff of the horns. Or don't take the bull by the horns or the scruff of the neck. I don't know what mantra I was coming out with then, but he is determined. Let's go with that.
This is a very inside joke to my old workplace. That is the Thomas Kane strategy by Adam Britton. As I say, I have seen that penalty be awarded before for pretty much the same reason when a mate of mine who previously raced in the heavyweights decided that Landau didn't want to do the full circuit because he'd been taken out on corner 1. He can't do it. I
am unsurprised to see that penalty for Ned Douglas, if I'm honest. It was just too robust, too aggressive on the overtake attempts there for bump and pass. I honestly thought we might see something for what happened at the top of the hill on lap 1, but as I say, loads of people seem to recover it back onto the track. Rob Langthorpe then is in the wheel tracks of Dom Cliff. At the moment, he is the first of the disappointed drivers in inverted commas, in that he has not got a promotion spot right now. He's the only Class 1 driver in this field, and he will definitely have his eyes set on making sure that all Class 1 drivers get up into this A final. That's not because he has some great feeling of camaraderie with his fellow Class 1 runners. It's that he knows that if he doesn't do that, it's going to have been a costly day for him in the championship. Closing up here between the top 3 as they come down through Devil's Elbow. Big dip down there. I don't think the cameras do justice to how that feels in the car as the track just falls away from you on the way down through that corner.
And it's one of those, there's a quite wide-ish curb as you go through the last of the little rights. If you get the run on the angle on it absolutely spot on, you just kind of like glide over the top of it. If you get it wrong, as a change here for the lead of the race, Dom Cliff past George Line there. Good move into Spoon Curve here. Now will these two try and work together to drop Rob Langthorpe? Rob Langthorpe has been in this position before. Very experienced driver. Used to race for the Newcastle University team in the BUKC. But it's
he's going to go for it. George Line's going to go back on Dom Cliff and made that work, to be fair.
But it's a curb where if you get it at the wrong angle, there's the complete opposite. As I think we've had a change for 4th place as well, haven't we? Ramanas Sakauskas has dropped behind Ned Douglas. Penalty for Andrew Rabish, an ABC bump and pass.
I feel sorry for Ramanas Sakauskas because I mentioned quite how close he was to a final. And he seemed to be, as I say, I could have misread that one. The clerk of the course has deemed that move was okay. By George Line, as Cliff is going to try down the inside of the carousel. And they've got to be careful here. They're going to open up the door of opportunity here for Rob Langthorpe. I wonder if these two are thinking a bit too much about the race victory. Although, to be fair, they're not going to easily pull away from Rob Langthorpe, are they? No. So maybe they have to do this battling and try and be the one who's got a buffer of one cart behind them. But you've got to feel for Sakauskas here. He was really, really on it with pole position, and he got a good start. He seemed to be upset with how the move was made of him, but it is what it is at this moment in time. Steph Theodorou and Justin Draper are going side by side up the hill. There's a bit of 2 wheels on the grass for Theodorou. I feel like Steph's had a challenging day of it.
Yeah.
I feel like he's had a lot of... he certainly had to have his elbows out, and I wonder if he's feeling a little bit punch drunk from this one today, which is easy to feel around here. You know, it's easy to, as we said, you know, you've taken offline for some reason, you'll be losing multiple positions.
Yeah, I've got past Chakauskas, though, on this particular lap. 5.5 minutes to go in the second half of this B final. You're watching live coverage of the Club 100 Sprints Championship for 2022 here on Alpha Live. Commentary from DDMM, Andrew Mather and Howard Mitchell in the comms box for you. Contact warning for Callum Martin, who's our winner in the C final, is up to 21st position. And Nicholas Lacasas has had a good run from the B final as well. He's up to
Yeah.
16th place.
Good point.
Still at the front. Rob Langthorpe's just waiting for the moment. As I say, he's very experienced with this game. He knows that what's important is that second place. A win would be nice. Little trophy, a little plate to take home. But the opportunity to be in that A final and get even more points for his championship bid, that's what'll be more important to him. Ned Douglas at the front of this group. They've got to keep pushing on as well, because the gap is 2.4 seconds between themselves and the back of the lead pack. But if that lead pack does start fighting, if Rob Langthorpe starts getting it in there, that gap could close with 4 minutes still on the clock.
It's an interesting one, though, because Ned Douglas now has the bump and pass penalty.
Yes.
He's a bit of a... He's kind of like... He's almost a bit more in it for himself. I suppose it's still advantageous for him to work onto the back of the leaders, but...
Negate the penalty.
That's true. That's true. So I suppose it doesn't change too much. But I don't know. He might be a bit crestfallen or a bit frustrated at how this one has played out. Amy Breacher putting pressure on the back of Sakauskas there at the back of this pack. And then behind them, it is the 78 of Jake Wilkins, who's leading a pack of himself, Andrew Rabbage, Andy Berry, who's just got past Dean Everest for 11th. As we head up the hill once again, here are your top three. Is there anything on this time around? George Line is taking that tight line in the early phases just as they crest the hill. And that's making it difficult for Langthorpe to find a way through. But as Andrew says, he's been driving these Club 100 carts for quite a while. And we'll know that he's got to pick his moment carefully here. Just a little bit this lap, you feel that Dom Cliff has been able to drop George Line slightly. So this time coming on to lap number 12 of this B final. Has anyone got a run as we head up the hill this time? You can see Langthorpe ducking his head, trying to find any advantage that he can to get onto the back here. And has he been able to tuck underneath there?
Oh,
he's trying it. He's trying to open the door. Getting that balance right between creating the opportunity for yourself and not being deemed to have bumped and passed the driver.
The rest of this lap is really crucial for Rob Langthorpe because there's a bit of a gap now between himself and Line. If Line's able to close up to Dom Cliff, they've then got a buffer. They've then got a buffer that they can work from to start to drop Rob Langthorpe. So Rob's got to get back on them very, very quickly. He's doing so. He's pulling them in. So that's a good indicator as well that he has a bit more raw pace than Line. Or that's what I'd say at this stage of the race. They have really dropped. Douglas, Draper, Theodorou and Tchaikovskas now.
Theodorou's got past Tchaikovskas there for 6th place. So he is working his way up the order as Rob Langthorpe will try and get the switch back, a better line out of this corner to set up an opportunity, but he's not close enough this time to make a move.
Dom Cliff's just dropped a big one as well. That 50.554 last time around was his fastest so far in this B final. And even though Line similarly did a PB, it was only a 50.7, so the gap was at the last count half a second. This is coming back towards Rob Langthorpe now as Line starts to get a bit more isolated.
Yeah, it's an interesting, and this could come back to Rob Langthorpe here, although George Line has been strong in this latter part of the lap. In fact,
he's just heard me because he's just responded with a 50.5 as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it did occur to me, you can't judge this, so I do not encourage this as any way to go racing at all. It did occur to me, though, that if Rob did do a move that could be deemed a bump and pass, and then obviously lets George Line through, it would actually isolate him. I'm not encouraging that because you can't judge that in the moment and it would end in tears, and I wouldn't ever condone that kind of driving. I'm just saying the slight 4D chess approach. It was just a couple of laps ago when he went for it. I was like, that's how that would actually play out.
Line's wide. Is wide there through. But again, I say Dom Cliff hit a big lap in early before. Is this a tyres thing again? We have been talking about tyres a lot this weekend, and especially in the warm yesterday. Similar track surface in places to somewhere like Llandau in this same nation of the world as we are on the last lap. You can.
He's
As
going
down
for
the
it.
inside goes
He's got
Langthorpe's
to.
going
He's
for second
got to.
place. He's not able to make it work. Has he got a run? Has he got alongside as they go down towards the carousel?
For Langthorpe, this might be a drop score either way if he doesn't make the A final. He's got to go for it, because if he gets a penalty, all right, he's lost 3 or 4 points. From his perspective, it's worth going for it, but I think he's run out of opportunities, Andrew.
Yeah, it was a good go from Rob Langthorpe. Dom Cliff has responded well, had a bit of pressure, brought the tyres back in maybe. He's going to come round to finish in first place. And Rob Langthorpe's gone for it. He's gone for the big one. Oh, not quite worked that time. Dom Cliff takes the win. George Line by the skin of his teeth. Whoa, I had flashbacks to a week ago on Sunday in a race that I commentated on of 2 drivers that ended up stage right, shall we say. But yeah, Line gets home in second place. Rob Langthorpe in third. Ned Douglas fourth. Justin Draper fifth. Steph Theodoru sixth. Ramanas Strakowskis will be disappointed there in seventh place, having had come so close to getting in the A final. Amy Breacher in eighth place. Andrew Rabish ninth. Andy Berry,
which gives the Class 3 honours to Harrison Kirkham as the only Class 3 to have made it to the A final.
Good stuff. So Andy Berry finishes second in C3 here today, on the road at least, pending any post-race investigations or penalties. Dean Everest in 11th, Matt Ellis in 12th, Adam Britton in 13th. I'm pretty sure I saw that Adam's got a penalty in there. So Berry and Ellis on the C3 podium. Jake Wilkins finishes in 14th place, Harris Ahmed in 15th, Tommy Lee 16th, Nicholas Lakatas in 17th place, Joe Bailey was 18th, David Heyman 19th, Jagjit Singh 20th, Jeremy Deeks in 21st, Kim Ely in 22nd, Dan Grocott in 23rd, and these are all the drivers that had problems. Russell Cooper 24th, Charlie Summers 25th, and Callum Martin 26th and last in the B final.
There we go then. There is just one more race to run in our lightweights of today, of the weekend here at Glan-Y-Gors with Club 100, and that is the lightweight sprint A final, which is coming up for you next here on your Alpha Live stream.
Here's your grid then for the A final for the lightweights, round 3 of their sprints season. Mike Coppin has pole position, 89 points out of a possible 90. Garrett Berry is there on 86 points. Fraser Brunton is on the second row of the grid here today, alongside Reese Pope. Daz Teal starts on the third row with Stephen Westwood with what should be one of his best grid slots ever in an A final there. Brilliant stuff from Stephen. Rihanna Percox and Samuel Essery are on row 4. Ashley White and Dan Seeger row 5. Yusuf Binter-Hale and Chris Woodger, the winner of the lightweight A final last time out in 2018, is there on row number 6. Andrew Ward and Matthew Cockram on row 7. Ben Lambeth and Martin Joyce row 8. Ed Bars and Bryn Alban there on the 9th row of the grid. Dante Dillon and Harrison Kirkham are on row 10. Harrison Kirkham has already secured the round victory for C3 by simply being in this A final. Hussein Rashid and Tim Penny are there on row 11. Greg Smith and Luke Phillips are on the 12th row of the grid. And to confirm from the B final, Dom Cliff and George Line will be on row 13. It's 26 carts, as normal, in this A final. Hello to Peter O'Connor. I'd just like to make it perfectly clear that the opinions of Howard Mitchell are not the full and complete opinions of DDMM, but Peter O'Connor agrees with the tactical suggestion to Rob Langthorpe.
I didn't say he should. I'm saying that's what would transpire if it happens.
Very good. Just to remind the result last time out in the A final, Mike Coppin was your winner. Daz Teal was second. Fraser Brunton was third. That was also your top 3 in C1. Dan Seeger finished in 4th overall and top C2. Dante Dillon was 6th overall, second in C2, a position ahead of Garrett Berry, who was 3rd in C2. I want to talk about Harrison Kirkham, because he was in the top 3 last time out in C3. But virtue of a 5th place in the C final, that is a massive jump to go from the C final the worst place of all in one of those promotion type finals, one spot outside of where you want to be. But he's in the A final here today after a sterling amount of work.
He had his Weetabix, didn't he? Other cereals are available. Just when we've got this slight lull, it's worth saying, because it is our last race of the weekend. Andrew was talking earlier on about the circuit. Thank you to everybody at Glan-Y-Gors, who have made us all feel very welcome. And it's been great to come back here. And a few shout-outs to all these, but obviously to Club 100, to John Viger, JV, man with the plan at Club 100, and all of his team who have made this weekend possible. They are based down in Kent, so this is a big jaunt for Club 100 and all their staff to come up here, and they've done that, and they've made it all happen. A big weekend here, and that's been great, and it's been lovely that we've had such nice conditions for racing off the back of that effort. So thank you to them. And we do hope you've enjoyed the streamed coverage today. If you like what you've heard, other than the lovely Rotax Evo engine sounds, if you like what we've heard from us, we are Double Dash Motorsport Media. Please do consider giving us a like, a subscription, a share. We're also across all forms of social media, really,
Facebook,
at the moment.
Twitter, Instagram, all at Double Dash.
Indeed.
Nice and easy to remember.
And double-mm.com if you want to find any of the links to the social media. And we get up to, we do the commentating, we do the racing, but that both in a virtual world, and we do the things. And do please follow along with everything that we get up to. And Alpha Live, of course, who have made the stream possible today. Thank you to Morgan Jones, who's been doing the directing here. It's been good to see him again. Actually, been a while since we've seen him, so good to see him. To Darren Hassan, who's been the man with the plan behind the scenes here at Alpha Live. To John Ratcliffe, and to Chris Simpson as well, who have been manning the cameras this weekend and making all of that happen. So thank you to all of them, and do please, in the same way I was saying of ourselves at DDMM, if you like what you've seen, like, share, and subscribe with Alpha Live, and they have so much stuff going on. You might want to hit that notification bell as well for all of their streams that are going on. You can watch all of this back. You can watch any of the other Alpha Live streams back. You can go back over Club 100s of years past if you so wish. It's all there for you on the Alpha Live YouTube channel.
I know I'm going to pay testament to you, mate, because we won't go into all the who's and what's and whatever. But this is going to be the last race that we call real life race. We've still got the iRacing stuff, but it's going to be the last time we're physically in a comms box together for potentially quite a while, mate.
Little bit, yeah. A few months out for certain life events to occur. As I don't know what Mike's doing. They're celebrating. They've heard I'm off air for a few months. So no, it's for good reasons. But just a few months. I've got my second off season. Second off season, and we'll be back later on in the year. And I'm sure in the interim there will be plenty of fun racing action to enjoy across all forms of Club 100 racing, not least with that Cadet Championship kicking off in a few weeks' time for the first time ever, along with coverage for the first time with the Junior Championship as well, which I'm also quite excited about. So, cheers, mate. And, let's enjoy this last one as the drivers are getting into their car and waiting for the blow of the whistle. There it is. That was very nicely done, Jibbo. Engine notes go on. It's quite a... I don't think we acknowledge this moment, but it's cool. It's cool to be in the car and that whistle blow and the engine's coming on. We all like that. We all quite like it. It's like... It's when
even when JV does it himself because he doesn't have a whistle, like on Friday, the test session, he just went, I haven't got a whistle! And away everybody went.
Lovely.
But yes, it's been a really good weekend, a really good couple of weekends here at GYG. But at the same time, I'll be glad for a weekend off. to enjoy more of Alpha Live's content that they're going to have, or that they've had today and that they've got coming up in the weeks ahead. Whilst the guys are out for their warm-up lap, I'm just going to remind myself, if I can see, what the guys have got coming up. This will take me a moment.
Oh, okay. I wasn't ready for that cue.
I'll
Drivers out on their practice lap at the moment, so this is just them getting the iron. We saw for the heavyweights this morning there was a flurry of drivers who chose to change karts here, so it is going to be interesting to see who elects to pull into the pit lane. And as we stressed this morning, this is not because the karts are, terribly out of form. We're talking about subtle differences here, and it's half of this is going to be about the psychology of the driver. Do they feel like they're in tune with their kart? Or, are there little bits and pieces, just small, fine margins here that are making them be like, I don't like this one. I'm willing to roll the dice, because it is going to be, the margins are so tight in this field that they are, they're going to be discerning about which kart they actually settle on. So key moments here for the drivers to go, how does this one feel? Is this good? Can make poor judgments, of course, because some of these, the karts are cold. So, if you're rolling the dice, is it actually going to have been a kart that would have paid dividends later on? Dan Seeger is the first of those drivers to make the call.
I can't see anything scheduled. It's probably me pressing the wrong button down, but are we all right in the case of it not me pressing the wrong button to blame DJ?
Yeah, absolutely.
Darren says yes.
Classic Sports Car Club at Anglesey next
that'll
week.
Be good.
There you go. Oh, that's a good. Yeah,
that will be good. Love Anglesey. Great circuit.
There you go, mate. You said you wanted some good content.
Well, I'll watch
there
that.
You go.
Good. Person who's with me might not want to watch it, but they're going to have to live and learn. Anyway, moving on.
Right.
12 minutes will be on the clock for this lightweight sprint A final. So far this season, it is a win apiece for Fraser Brunton and Mike Coppin.
I do just want to, given how we've seen some changes, some differences between the pole side and the anti-pole side, I've just realised how do we like the top three in the championship being the top three positions on the pole side, and then a load of disruptors being on the left-hand side?
I disagree with you there. I think it's way too early in this season to call.
No. Sorry. When I say just, that's a fair challenge. Garrett Berry today has just been
on it,
all in, going for it. In that sense, I consider him a bit of a disruptor, because he seems to just be like, we're just gonna throw everything at this and see how it goes. You're right. We are very early on in the championship at this point. But for those three drivers, I reckon that's already on their minds.
Garrett Berry's best so far in an A final this year is 7th. For Pope, 5th is the best so far. Both of them are 5th and 6th in the championship, not respectively, because it's Pope ahead of Berry at the moment. Just waiting for Dan Seeger to get into position. His best result so far this year in an A final is 4th. Last time out at Wilton Mill. Ready to go then. There's a tension in the air here on the edges of Snowdonia. Mike Coppin will take us from pole position. Garrett Berry making sure that he does not jump the start. Away we go for 12 minutes. Coppin comes across. Brunton's already cutting on the inside. Has got the move on the inside. Coppin protests, but Fraser Brunton takes the lead early on here. He's been pushed through by Stephen Westwood, who's up into second place. Coppin trying to fight around the outside. That was very close to the grass, but they've just about all made it through. Rihanna Percox is fighting through as well from about the fifth row of the grid. All sorts of chaos going across the grass and off the grass. Andrew Ward spins. Does not have good luck in an A final that's streamed yet again.
And Dylan's off on the grass as well and has lost out heavily too. There's a few people licking their wounds already in this A final. And it's caused them to spread out at the front as well.
Percox down the inside of Binter Hale there, going for an overtake. 3, 4, maybe even more wide through Devil's Elbow is just not going to work here today at Glan-Y-Gors. It's survival mode out there at the moment. It's off there. Was that George Line, I think, off at the back of the field?
Yep.
So at the end of lap 1, Fraser Brunton leads, and round, almost say yes, definitely round, goes the number
Martin
21.
Joyce.
And
Oh,
into the wall, there goes Dante Dillon. I think he's okay, but he got caught out there by the spinning Martin Joyce.
He didn't have much choice. He had to, I don't think he could make, he thought that going left was the safe one, and then Joyce was spinning, and he just ended up making the wrong call at the wrong time. And that was, it's good to see him getting out of the car immediately, because that was a bit of a nasty one there for Dante Dillon.
So Fraser Brunton leads. Stephen Westwood is in second place. Ashley White is up to third place at the moment. This is a really topsy-turvy order through part of the top 5. Daz Teal has made his way up to 7th place as well. Where has Yusuf Bin Sahel gone in all that? Because, actually, no, Teal is up to 6th place now behind Rihanna Percox. As out of the race is Greg Smith. Being talked to, or just having a chat with one of the Club 100 staff.
I think that's up at the post, up out of the carousel.
Yep, yellow flags are out for the run up the hill.
Sorry, yeah, I mean off to driver's left as they come through Spoon is where Greg is, and there's a post that covers sort of that and
the
start
of
carousel and
of carousel.
Compression. Well, Mike Coppin finds himself behind Ed Bars here. That's not where he expected. Garrett Berry's not where he expected. He's down in 14th place.
So I think Mike's protests will be that there was a little bit of loading that pushed him out wide on turn 1. I'd have to have a little look back to see if that was the case or not, because honestly I can't quite replay everything that was going on in my mind through turn number 1. Ed Bars is up to 8th place. Cone penalty for Yusuf Bin Sahel. I did think I'd seen Yusuf clip a cone out there. So that's
salt in the wound, really, though. He's had some kind of drama that's put him back down to 25th, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well out of contention in this race. Had a good set of heats. It just shows he's not guaranteed a good result in these finals. They are ferocious. They are cutthroat. 9 minutes of this one to go. You're looking at Samuel Essery and Ed Bars, currently 7th and 8th. I get the feeling that Ed Bars, if he wants to make progress in this final, needs to find a quick and efficient way by Samuel Essery, because they are not closing in on Daz Teal. They really should be at this point, because Daz Teal is isolated on his own there. He's 1 second behind Rihanna Percox. You'd expect even a driver of the standard of Daz Teal, with just one engine, to lose that gap to Essery. It just doesn't seem to be coming down.
It is early in the championship, but I am going to mention not a good day here for Dante Dillon in terms of this trophy final. As Ed Bars goes down the inside of Sam Essery, and Mike Coppin is not going to wait around to see if the opportunity comes his way. And Sam Essery, he's not too happy with that, but Coppin,
I don't think Coppin would have expected him to be there.
No, that's true, and he was alongside. I think that's fair. But in Class 2, mate, Garrett Berry, I refer to him as a disruptor. He is second in Class 2 in the championship right now. So this could be a big day for Class 2 here, because it's been a costly one for Dante Dillon. Garrett Berry has dropped down the order in this one, but he's got the pace. We know he can make confident moves. So let's see how far up he can get. Your highest place Class 2, and someone who's had a cracking day so far, is Stephen Westwood in that second place. This is brilliant stuff at the moment. We're watching Reese Pope in third. Ashley White there in the 64. Is in fourth, and then Rihanna Percox in the 99 in fifth. And all of these three drivers are ahead of Daz Teal, Ed Bars, Mike Coppin. It is going to be very difficult to execute any passes amongst drivers of this experience. But these are all they're 2.5 seconds back from Stephen Westwood. And the key thing for me, Andrew, is they don't want to be fighting right now in many, but they do want to work together here, because otherwise Fraser is checking out at the front. Stephen Westwood is checking out at the front. Yeah. Beautiful skies over Glan-Y-Gors here. Not good news for Dan Seeger if we've not mentioned it already. Down 7 positions on that last lap. Something's happened to him out there. He is running. He did a 53.997 last time around. And our winner in C2 last time out is down in 21st position. Yeah. Yeah, something to bit awry with that one there. With that race effort. Reese Pope clearly trying to guide this team up towards first and second place if you can at all help it. It's not working at the moment, though. They're dropping back from Brunton and Westwood. And Westwood is keeping Brunton honest, by the way. It's only 0.4 of a second, the gap here.
Westwood's quicker at the moment. It's 50.104. That was the fastest lap of the race, but Mike Coppin has just taken that. Mike Coppin and Ed Bars are looking quick as well. The trouble is, I just think they're a little bit too far back in this order to influence things at the front come the end of this race. They've only got 5.5 minutes of it to go. Still Reese Pope. I didn't know whether Reese changed his car. We did see this. A little bit of this theorising that we saw this earlier in the heavyweights A final, that those who changed karts, went to cold karts, very much came on song in the second half of the race. I'm going to put a theory here that I think that's happening with Reese Pope now, because all of a sudden he's just dropped into the 50.3s.
Daz Teal is as close as he's been on the back of Rihanna Percox here. Is he going to be able to find a way through at the top of the hill? Ashley White is close to Reese Pope as well, but I think is committed to working together. It's as they were coming out of here. Westwood could do these Class 1 runners a massive favour, by the way, if he goes for the outright victory.
Yeah.
If they start battling, and you could see them there just ahead in that shot, he really is staying in touch.
Brunton has dropped his pace again, though, in terms of dropping the lap time. It's now was 50.2 last time around.
Daz Teal down the inside at through the last part of the compressions and gets the job done on Rihanna Percox. That puts Percox out of sorts, and Ed Bars is going to go for a last corner overtake here, and he makes that one stick. As that is
Ben Lambeth, possibly?
I think it might be, yeah. There are your leaders. There's Brunton and Westwood, and Stephen Westwood is not letting Brunton get away with this. He was faster on the last lap that time around.
Tim Penny's just putting a 49.691.
What?
Where the heck has Tim found that? I mean, I guess it may be toe assisted, but I think that might be the quickest lap we've seen all weekend.
Yeah.
That is brilliant pace for Tim Penny, currently in 15th place. So, I don't know, is it a little bit cooler out there? Is it, again, the tyres are finding this, even the worn tyres, finding these conditions a little bit more favourable than what we've had earlier in the day? Here are your leaders. Fraser Brunton out front sets a new personal best, 50.208. He's just holding that gap at the moment. Has a check over his shoulder. 4/10 is the lead. Nearly 5 over Stephen Westwood. Reese Pope's kart has come alive. I'm sure of it. In the second half of this race, he's just done a 50.127. The trouble is, the gap is 3.1 seconds. And side by side of Bars and Teal. Bars is through, and that's 5th place.
Yeah, good move. Important move there for Ed Bars. And they're starting to work their way through here. But it's probably not battling over the positions they were hoping to, if they were being honest. Westwood not quite as on it, I don't think, this lap. I think he was a bit out of sorts through Spoon Curve, so I'd expect the gap. I'm wrong. He's pulled in the gap. So ignore me. It's still nice and tight at the front of this one. And Stephen Westwood, what a day he's had.
Bump and pass penalty for George Line. Where is George at the moment? He's in 15th place on the road.
Yes, he is.
The gap between second and third still holding at 3.1.
It'll be on Matthew Cockram, that bump and pass.
Yep.
As, Harrison Kirkham has also got by Andrew Ward. That's for 18th place. Well, a couple of minutes left. This is not the lead battle I thought we'd be covering.
Nope.
But it's very welcome. Very welcome indeed here. As Westwood stands on the brink of challenging for a round victory here. I don't think the subclass they're in matters at this point. I think who wants the bragging rights of taking a round victory here. I mean, there'll be a Class 2 trophy on offer to Westwood. But right now, I think it's basic racing driver instinct that he'd like to win, please.
90 seconds of this final to go. Ed Bars has caught up to the back of Ashley White, so we need to keep an eye on that battle as well, over 4th place. Ed Bars it just seems to be the story of Ed's season at the moment, that everything's not quite coming together. He's got the pace in this final, to win it. The trouble is, he started from, 15th place on the grid, way too far down to make that time up, even in an extended final. And again, the gap goes back up to 0.4 of a second. Westwood drops back to a 50.4 on the pace. Still well clear of Pope. Here is that battle, well picked up by the guys on cameras for 4th place between White and Bars. Bars down the inside, brilliant. That's a wonderful move from Ed Bars. Gets in 4th place, and you can see he's pumping himself in the cart to try and hold on. Here comes Ashley White back again. He's going to have to hold the line round the outside. He has done really good stuff from Ed Bars. That gets him onto the podium in C1 at the moment. Can he find a way to get to Reese Pope? We're about to go on to the last lap, though. Fraser Brunton is 1 lap away from a second final win of the year, a second in front of Alpha Live cameras, but Stephen Westwood has not given this up.
He absolutely has not, and he's pulled another 10th in on that last lap. What is the run like up the hill, though? Is it the case that Brunton is a bit stronger in this first part of the lap? Now's the time for Westwood. He can't find the gap there, though. What's the drive like off of Spoon Curve and down the Snowdon Straight for the last racing lap of today? I don't think he's got an opportunity there either. But I think it's in this next part of the lap that he is stronger. But it's the hardest part of the lap to make a pass. Brunton goes into the compressions now. And this is really the last opportunity unless he can do something in the last corner. We have seen people go for it in the last corner here at GYG. Into the last corner they come. Fraser Brunton needs to hold on, and indeed he will, to take his second round victory of the year. Fraser Brunton wins round 3 of the 2022 Club 100 Lightweight Sprints Championship. Stephen Westwood, your highest placed Class 2 runner. What a day he has had. This is surely his best result in his Club 100 career. He takes second overall and is by quite a way your highest placed Class 2 driver, your Class 2 winner for today. Reese Pope finishes 3rd. Ed Bars in 4th. Rounding out the Class 1 podium there. Ashley White in 5th. Then it's Daz Teal in 6th, Rihanna Percox in 7th. Mike Coppin, surely frustrated given where he started this race on pole, in 8th place. Then it's Chris Woodger in 9th. Luke Phillips is your next Class 2 runner down in 10th. Second of the Class 2 finishes. Garrett Berry rounds out the Class 2 podium in 11th place. Tim Penny is in 12th place there with Sam Essery in 13th. And it's George Lyne, albeit with a penalty to be applied, in 14th. 15th for Hussein Rashid. Dan Seeger is next in 16th place. Matthew Cockram in 17th. Andrew Ward, difficult A final for him there in 18th place. 19th for Harrison Kirkham, already sung his praises as the highest placed novice Class 3 driver of the day. Ben Lambeth rounds out the top 20. Then it was Bryn Alban and Martin Joyce in 22nd. And then we had a lot of drivers, mate, who didn't take the finish there. Dom Cliff, Dante Dillon, Yusuf Bin Sahel, and Greg Smith all effectively retiring from the race. So quite an attrition rate in that one. But that is it. Great drive from Fraser Brunton. Closes out a fantastic weekend of racing.
It does indeed. And thank you, everybody, for your support and watching the stream today. And if you've watched it back on catch-up, if you've been racing here today. I hope you've enjoyed the commentary. If you want to give us a follow and a like and all of that business across your social medias, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, we're all at @MM. Really, really does help us out. Our next commentary will be in a few weeks' time for the first round of the Club 100 Cadet Championship and the second round of the Junior Championship. Both of them will be on the same day, Saturday the 21st of May, down at Buckmore Park. You'll be able to watch that live here on Alpha Live. If you've enjoyed the stream and the content and the pictures, big thanks to John Ratcliffe and Chris Simpson for their camera work. Big thanks to Morgan and Darren behind for their hard work here in the comms box producing the stream. Do give Alpha Live a subscribe and click that notification bell for more. We're going to wrap things up here at GYG. Thank you to the circuit and everything they've done. I hope you've enjoyed coverage here of round 3 of the Club 100 Sprints Championship for the seniors. We'll be back in 2 weekends' time down at Buckmore Park for the first and second round of the cadets and juniors. But for now, enjoy the rest of your evening and bye-bye.